Ah, dude, I got my PBR shirt on. I didn't even realize. Something I won't have for another 360 plus days.
What?
Yeah, wait, why are you not drinking beer for a whole year? Because it
Um,
makes you fat? Is that why? Because
I
I
think
need to.
there's like three reasons. Yeah, one is like I did my 50 push-ups a day for a year last year, and I realized, yeah, I built a chest, but I also built a beer belly, so I got, I got to remove one of them as the other ones grow. Um, the other is drank a lot from like Thanksgiving all the way to the end of the year, and
Oh,
a
me
couple
too.
moments I just felt terrible, and I'm just like, why do I even do this? So I want to I like discipline in my life, and so this is going to be the ultimate challenge. And then three, I had a friend who was drinking a lot and nearly died, and I heard his story after he recovered, or at least still recovering, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's a good little warning for all of us. So
Yeah, I feel you, especially on the drinking too much between Thanksgiving and New Year's. It was like constant, not
yeah,
like alcoholism, like
there
not
was
like
always an
oh I go
excuse, right? Like
yeah
because you're with good people, and maybe that's an
yeah.
excuse of not being like I'm not an alcoholic, but I drink all the time. um, but no, like I went camping the week of Thanksgiving, and of course Thanksgiving itself, and then I had a wedding I went to. Then I got married, and I went on a honeymoon to an all-inclusive resort, and then it was Christmas break. Like just
Yep.
excuses after excuses.
I'm just gonna post in like the Discord servers that we're working
Yeah, I'm
on.
doing that too. I was writing like gonna stream with Fishstix and Jim Christ. Look through the feedback Jan 4 channel. Watch me at I feel bad putting links in the general channel, so I'm not gonna put an official link for it. I could get away with it.
AP-Sizzle.
Yeah.
We're gonna do.
No, you put that in the
Feedback
screens and clips, not the
on.
live streams.
Yeah, I don't think anyone looks at the live streams channel.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
pretty
probably right.
sure. But I'm posted in T3 comp.
Beat you.
You already. Oh, you beat me.
And then the
You
fish
beat
tank.
me.
Yeah, you could still do it too. It doesn't matter, dude. It's like people be like, why are they doing that? And then they don't care anymore.
Fish tank.
Yeah, I did it in the fish tank because we got some good gamers in there.
Yeah, we got some
Yeah.
real good gamers.
That's where the real gamers are.
You see
For
my
sure.
my YouTube picture? It's a picture of Tribes
Yeah,
1 and Rain Dance.
I do every time I look at your YouTube, and I'm like, that's cool.
Got that, and then yeah, you saw my APC, the Tribes 1 APC as my Steam avatar. It took
Yep.
me a while to find that. Like I almost had to go in game to get one.
It always makes me happy every time I see it. I guess I should tweet too.
Oh, tweeting is a thing. Posting. It's not.
Oh,
It's Xing, I thought, isn't it?
Xing,
It's
posting.
posting, but
It's so generic.
I got
What
an
do I say?
X.
What do I like? I'm posting is like I could be posting anywhere. It could
No,
be
I think
anything.
you still call it tweeting. I think we should refuse to give that up. Anyways, this isn't the point of this isn't to talk about my feelings about Elon Musk.
no. I think we can. Let's we'll get right into that to start. What's your feedback
Okay.
on him?
I think he is not as smart as he thinks he is.
Wow, that's a hot take. Do you think he does drugs like everyone's accusing him for it?
I did see him take a hit on a blunt once on Joe Rogan's show, but I don't know that he inhaled. He definitely, I think, gets plastic surgery. It's weird because you can tell that he's like fighting against his old man face when you look at pictures of him now. I also think almost every man at that age does something if they have hair.
Speaking from experience, Jim.
Is that coming from personal experience or?
Well, I never did anything, but
Okay, you're not old enough yet.
I don't know what the stats are on like 50. What, he's over 50 now, so I don't know what the stats are. Still having your hair at 50.
Okay. You got anything nice to say about him?
Do I have anything nice to say about Elon Musk? I'm glad that he got out of the emerald mining business.
As far as you know.
As far as I know.
As far as
I mean, no, like, I guess he bought Tesla at some point and helped them get the EV battery thing going, and like that is legitimately a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the planet.
Mm-hmm.
SpaceX is neat.
Yeah, a lot of people have internet that didn't have internet before because of their.
Yeah, you see
satellite.
Starlink's going to have the cellular connectivity too now.
I believe it.
So like you could be in the middle of nowhere and actually have cell service, which
Really?
is freaking
That's
huge
cool.
for a lot of the, like whether you're hiking, you're camping, people that don't have any connectivity even if they want to.
Well, it's very expensive to get a like one of those beacons, right? Like the beacons
It's like
for
$500.
emergency aren't too expensive, but if you want to be able to actually talk or anything. No, I mean there's the two good things I think he's done. Like legitimately, investing in electric cars is a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I own a Tesla and I love it.
Yeah, I'll never
I
go
just
back.
did
I
just did a 10-hour road trip to Tahoe for New Year's, and it drove me the entire way. So I'm pretty happy
Do you
about
have full
that.
self-driving or just autopilot?
Full self-driving.
Jeez.
It was sick.
Yeah.
It
No,
makes
I'm
everything
Wait,
convinced.
so much better.
hold up. You use full self-driving in the Tesla?
On the freeway. Fuck yeah.
Is that legal?
Well,
Wow.
you still have to pay attention.
You pay
Keep your
attention,
hands on the
okay.
wheel.
But it kind of does. So it's like adaptive cruise control, but kind of on steroids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
I
it?
mean,
It
on the
doesn't.
highway, I think autopilot's pretty similar to full self-driving, except it'll change lanes for you.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
It'll change
really?
lanes and get off a
Get off exits.
exit or
You're
merge or
braver than
whatever.
I am. I'll tell you that much. I'd be scared shitless.
Okay, yes, this
I
is a tribe
was.
stream. We're just getting things kicked off with a hot topic. All right, we got to get our juices flowing.
Does Fishstix watch Netflix while on the highway? Hell no, bruh.
That's a bad
I'll
idea.
watch the tribe stream though.
Does it for full self-driving? So I had a 3-month trial of it, and for me it was like definitely not worth it, especially with the inflated prices these days for it. I don't even have the premium connectivity, but that's just because I'm cheap. But it does it still check every mile if you're at the wheel and you have to tug it?
Is it every mile? Because it feels like every 10 seconds.
It might have updated recently because they actually have a lot more strict policies as of like the recall. The recall, it's like there's a penalty system now. Will deactivate if you like don't touch if you don't do the nudge 3 times.
I mean, it's more than that. You can't even look at your navigation for more than 3 seconds without it beeping at you.
Huh.
Like it's not like I'm watching Netflix, Hot Rod.
Wait, it watches where your eyes are?
Yes.
It watches, holy
There's
shit.
a camera. There's a camera that watches your eyes. So if I look at navigation for literally like 2 uninterrupted seconds, it'll go beep beep. Pay attention to the road. Beep beep.
That's so
Well, that's
funny.
because it's not actually full self-driving like you would.
No, it's
Like you're not.
that's a
it
lie.
can
That
make
part's a lie.
mistakes, right?
So
Like
that's
that's why you need to be aware.
my friend actually was showing me all these like little third-party add-ons you can add to your car, and one of them that he did is he's one of those like guys that doesn't like cameras watching him all the time, but he has a Tesla. So he has like a little slider in front of that thing, so when he's not driving with the FSD, he has it off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's always just like conscious about like what kind of data they're taking at any time. I don't think autopilot is using that camera. I think it's only full self-driving. I could be wrong.
I don't know. But what I do know is I think we have sufficient quorum to get started.
Wow.
I think.
What a nice little oh man, we could have had Doppelganger in here. Let me see. Let's go to how do I create this scene? So, folks that are here and watching, here's the deal. We did this once before, and I think it's something we want to keep doing after each playtest is we have an awesome channel of feedback in the official Tribes 3 Discord, and a lot of people did almost like a metric to decide how strongly people feel about a topic. They give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And so we're going to find like the top ones by going through it. If we went through every single one, I would not be having lunch or dinner tonight. And I want those. So we're going to pick like the top ones. Someone just tagged me in one, Mog. I think we should look at yours. I think it's a good one. But we're gonna look through it. Chat with us if you guys have any feelings. If you feel very strongly on something, we can pull you into this channel, and we're in the Tribes 3 official Discord. We're not gonna do that a lot because I feel like we'll get nowhere if we keep pulling people in. But that's the deal. We did this before. Anything you want to add to that, Fish?
No, I think that's pretty much the idea. We're probably also just gonna give our own thoughts on various different topics about the game and balance and the direction that it's going and things like that. But yeah, the idea is to kind of go through some of the best ones here. And I think one thing is probably a blanket rule.
Yeah. Oh,
I guess.
yeah. Sorry, I switched scenes in the middle of that, and I realized I didn't have Discord audio enabled. So give me a second. I did not set this up in time because I was distracted.
Socials at www.omfgdogs.com.
All right. Okay. Okay. So
damn it, Adam! You didn't have audio for my favorite website.
No, I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
Do you want to start actually and just like?
I got one.
Just start with our own thoughts,
Like
a summary of how we felt like this playtest was before we want to jump in, or
do that. Take it away. You start with that.
Well, obviously, there's one giant elephant in the room that everyone was talking about this playtest, which was the speeding up of projectiles by like 100%, as well as projectiles being like 200% bigger, basically making hitting shots twice as easy, if not more. And that's really by far the biggest change we saw this patch. Obviously, there's a ton of other changes that happened that some I think a lot of us are really, really big in favor of. Obviously, getting more jet pool was one of the top pieces of feedback we had last playtest. That was added back in. Very happy to see that. But I think I speak for most people when I say that we generally felt like it's almost too easy to hit shots now. However, I also feel that most people would maybe agree with me, and most people would maybe agree with me that previously it maybe was too difficult to hit a midair. So, in general,
Yes.
I'm actually glad that they looked at that and said new players aren't hitting shots, even experienced players. I mean, I'm like pretty mid, but hitting disc midairs in the previous patch was really, really challenging for me. I wasn't hitting a lot of them. So but maybe they adjusted too far in the direction of making it easier to hit shots, which I feel like that's pretty consistent feedback we've heard. Yeah, there's a ton of other smaller things I would love to discuss and we should discuss, but I think that's obviously the number one thing that was changed about this patch.
Jim, go ahead. And those of you that Fishstix, hopefully you know Jim Christ too, head admin of NA Tribes in the past, just the savior of Tribes himself. And so he's here with us because he's the savior of Tribes.
Yeah, I think I agree with Fishstix. I don't know. I really hope they have some metrics in the back end that they can look at things like direct hits and mid-airs, because
I want to see that.
Telling you, like, coming from the perspective of someone who mainly plays pubs and isn't that great at the aiming aspect of hitting mid-airs, especially with projectile weapons, it felt a lot more like I could do it. And I think that a lot of new players, that's good for, right? The problem and the challenge is finding that correct kind of middle ground where it's not too easy, but like not too easy for the experienced players, but not too hard for the new players. And so that's why I hope they have metrics so they can kind of look at it and get kind of a breakdown of like what percentage of those type of shots are actually hitting. Because obviously some of the guys who are playing, more competitively, it might feel excessive too. Well, what does it feel like for those beginner players?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please.
No, I don't. We can talk about physics stuff later. So why don't we
Okay.
stick on weapons and you go ahead?
Well, in general, like I think I'm not going to say the same thing that you guys both said because I think that's the elephant in the room, as you put it, Fish. What I did notice though, as I played more, and I actually left the Tribes 3, I didn't leave it, but I disconnected from the Tribes 3 comp server because there was folks on my channel when I was streaming Thursday night, maybe it was Friday night, and they're like, yeah, we're doing pickups in the official Tribes 3 Discord. I'm like, wait, what? You guys, what's going on outside of the comp server? And it was just people, it wasn't like the official pickups where they were doing captains and all, but they were getting a custom lobby code and they would break out into channels based on the people that joined and they would separate and make it a 12v12 or 7v7. And then they would just play. And then they were having a blast. And the thing I noticed as the playtest went on is people became more and more acceptable in a way to the faster projectile speeds. Like the first initial reactions, like, what the heck is this? This is not the Tribes I know in any degree. Now, if you played Legions or Midair, like you'll be used to like maybe faster projectiles, but previous Tribes, this is out of the ordinary. But everyone I talked to outside of like let's say the hardcore Tribes fan base seemed to really like the patch. And I found over time as I was playing, I was like, I want to say it feels less rewarding to hit MA because I'm hitting MAs that I literally should not. Like it clearly missed, but it's so forgiving because I think the projectile is so big that I'm like, cool, I'll take it, and I was getting destroyed by people like Jaggle, but I guess that's with or without this patch. And so I was thinking, I was like, I don't think it's taking too much away from MAs because it is one of the best parts of Tribes. And if more people are getting it, maybe that's a good thing. But there's a lot of positive feedback I saw on this patch. So I'm just going to say that it's what I heard and it's what I saw. And I think it's important to talk about because this might be one of those big differences between the comp community and the public community, the casuals.
Yeah, my brother who played Tribes 1 with me like in 1999 or whatever, but was never a big Tribes player. He said he played the playtest this weekend for the first time, and he texted me and said, "This is the most fun I've had gaming in years." So I think that we're hearing that from some casual people, and for sure that it's they're having more fun because they're hitting more shots. But also the overwhelming consensus really is that it's a bit too easy. So I don't know if we go back to 50% between where we were in the Blast playtest to where we are now, or if we go 30% or if we go 70%. But I definitely would like to see it tuned a little bit. And I will also agree that I started to accept it more on day 2 of the playtest. Day 1, they gave us custom servers. We had pugs. Everyone was just like, there was kind of like a negative mood because everyone's like, oh my God, it's way too easy to hit these shots. This feels like shit. I hate it. Go back. Like, this isn't Tribes. Like, I kept, people were saying things like that. The next day, we were playing more pugs and the negativity kind of went away. We had a lot of fun. Like, not yesterday, but the day before, there were 5 or 6 pugs that were even and exciting and exhilarating and fun. So my personal feelings on the matter actually evolved even over just the course of one day.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that feel the same way, but I also know there's going to be people in here too. It's just like, you're not a true Tribes fan. It's like, trying to be open-minded here, first off. Vax, I was going to say something similar too about like, it's going to be really hard to go backwards from here. I do want to try it a little less fast. I feel like that's a sin in Tribes, saying you don't want to go as fast. But yeah. I do want to try it a little dialed back, but not like directly in the middle. I think let's try a little backwards and see how that tastes. And there might be a world where we go, you know what, maybe it was better when it was faster. What's up, Jim?
I was just going to say there's definitely some balance between like, there's like a goal, right? Of how much do you want someone to get that type of shot, right? Because that is the best feeling.
It is.
Right? Or one of the best feelings in the game is getting that shot. So it's just like hitting that right balance. And, we don't know what they're thinking. Maybe they went for the strategy of, hey, let's crank this way up and let's dial it back a bit and get it to that sweet spot. It could be that. So it's really a wait and see game. But honestly, as someone who doesn't aim projectile weapons that well, it was really cool to actually, like, I wouldn't normally try for those shots, right? But I was one of those guys now running around trying for those shots, right? And that was fun. And every once in a while you hit one and it's like, woohoo, that feels really good, right?
Yeah.
And I think we want those new players when they come in to experience that feeling, right? We want them to say, oh yeah, that feels good. And maybe at the start, it's only once a game, right? But as they get better, they get them more and more. And it's just about hitting the right balance. I definitely think it's a big improvement on what it was before. Because before it felt close to impossible.
Yep, agreed. By the way, real quick, because I'm realizing I'm trying to do this right now. I want to disable ads. It's not saving. It's not an excuse. I could let you watch me do this. So if you get ads, let me know. I think I disabled them.
I think you're screwed. I think Twitch needs money, so they're gonna put ads on your stream whether you want it or not.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Sorry guys. If that happens, then it's not me trying to be greedy. It's just the way the road is streaming on here these days. All right. So what I want to do before we get into the feedback channel I have on my screen is the patch notes. And so I'm just going to just zip through some of the highlights, not every single bullet point, because the biggest one that we're talking about is this projectile size and speed adjusted for all weapons. Yeah, we got a shock lance, and I have feelings behind that, but there's a shock lance. We don't have the spin fuser XD anymore, or the shotgun or the sparrow. We have some changes to the light turret. The perks you could see on the scoreboard, the movement in general has changed, and we could talk about that, I'm sure, in some of these feedback threads. Custom matches, it was my prediction the week before that we'll get this, and I'm glad to see it because we got to play pugs for the first time.
Hell yeah.
I also think there was some people brought up some good points, like maybe custom servers aren't, or custom matches are the right thing right now in the game. I could see where that's coming from, so we could talk on that. Time trials, some minor updates to it, which I didn't get to play time trials this time because I was so hooked onto like the gameplay with pugs, but definitely want to see more time trials. I think it's good for users. General, we changed comp from 5v5 to 7v7. You got all the maps for all the queues, both comp and casual. And then there's some minor changes from the HUD and the respawn timers, some changes to the maps, which we can go into, and then various fixes. So I'll put the patch notes into the chat in case people didn't see them or they want to follow along and chat on these things. Cool. Do you want to jump into Discord?
Yeah. Let's do Discord. Otherwise, we're just going to talk between the three of us, which we could easily do that for hours. So let's do what we came here to do.
Let's do it. So someone tagged me on this right before we started, and I love the fact that someone went out of their way. They engaged with my post in general chat, and they're like, "Hey, can we talk about this post here that I did?" And I was like, "You know what? There's 37 upvotes. It's a good topic. I want to start there." So Fish, I don't know if you're sharing my screen on your stream or if you're trying to follow along on your end on how you want to figure that out.
Oh, I'm kind of just following along, I guess.
Cool. So this one's on the BXT. This one was the one that I heard a lot of criticism on, and there's many ways that we can go about it. And one is this auto aim thing that people keep talking about. The other is just the mechanic of it and this energy malfunction and how it saps your energy. Those are the main two. Do we want to talk about one or the other first? Want to maybe start with the energy malfunction part of it?
Yeah, let's start there.
Okay. It is a bitch to get hit by this. I heard people bitching about it, but I wasn't getting sniped evidently because I wasn't feeling it. But when I started getting hit by it, I felt the anger. And for me, I don't think it's terrible in the sense that it saps your energy because it's a lot better than what it was before, which was it stops your momentum. Like, you don't lose your energy, but it slows you down. So if you're going 200, you're now going 100. That feels like ass. So this is a step up from that. But I felt like when I got sapped from energy, it was for too long. Like, it's okay if it's for a smaller time frame, I think, or at least I want to try that. But at the very base, I think it was too long.
There's like an aspect to it which is very punishing, and I think it's specifically punishing to people playing Capper because if you get shot on your route, there's a good chance your route is done, right? You're just done.
Yep.
In TA, I didn't play earlier Tribes games, so I don't know what the snipers were like in there. In TA, that could happen if you got hit at a bad time while you were waiting for regen, but typically it just made you easier to kill by the defense, right? Sometimes you get killed on your route, you get hit 2 or 3 times, but generally it's going to make it harder to get in, and you could kind of counter that in TA by staying lower and things like that. I think the big problem is the sapping energy now means your route's done. And to kind of add to the punishment of that, it's on heavy. And heavy,
yeah.
Like if the Hoff is sitting there with a sniper, you have to fly towards him, right? You're forced to. Like, he's on the flag, right? That's where you're headed, which just means like it doesn't matter how slow you make that projectile. It's not hard to hit when someone's headed straight towards you, right?
I mean, there are so many things working against us on this with the faster projectile speed, the bigger projectile. And the game is like, in a general sense, is more defensive stacked than it is offensive. So if you're punishing these people who are doing this really important job of the game, which makes tribes in a CTF form, like doing that just destroys any kind of fun that a capper would have. They have a tough job and they have a very different job from everybody else in the game. You're not fragging, you're going fast. And if you have this weapon that's really easy to hit, which could also have auto aim attached to it, no bueno.
Yeah, I think there's really two angles to discuss this issue of the energy drain. One is balance. Is it balanced? The other is it fun? And I'm just going to talk about, is it fun?
Yep.
And the answer is just no.
Yep.
I mean,
100%
as a
no.
capper, if you get hit by that, it is soul sucking because you spent 20 seconds setting up this route, and then you're going to get hit by this shot, which makes it so you can't carve in or you can't hit that next hill, and your cap route is just done. And on the balance side, I think it's also not very well balanced because of exactly the same reason. So, I mean, it might be a little bit fun if you're like a sadistic bastard with the BXT and you're just like, haha, that guy's screwed now. But on the receiving end, it is extremely anti-fun. And for that, almost that reason alone, the BXT doesn't do that much damage, right? It's probably not, I honestly don't think it's like incredibly OP because of that. You have guys like Projectile who were like, oh my god, BXT is like so ridiculous. And yes, it is strong. I don't think it's ridiculously OP. But from the fun factor, I think that alone is reason to remove the energy sap.
Do we want to try to think of solutions? Like we're identifying a problem. What's the solution? What would be an approachable way of taking the BXT?
I mean, if it were up to me, I would say do a playtest without the BXT. Like, I don't know that tribes needs a sniper rifle to be fun, especially on these smaller maps. The other thing would be to take the energy drain out. I don't think I tell people this all the time. My philosophy on sniper rifles and first-person shooters is they're only fun for the person with the sniper rifle, right? Because when you're at a distance from that person, you're very limited in how you deal with it, right? And so when you play competitive games, maybe you can coordinate with your team, right? But if you're in a pub, like what do you do about the sniper camping one side of the map? Or the guy on the stand with the sniper rifle? Like, yeah. You don't really have an option. You can't clear him for yourself, right? Like in a pub, you can sort of self-clear Cowboy Cap a bit, right?
Jeez.
I had a game yesterday with 2 snipers in heavy sitting on the stand, and I had no chance, right? There was nothing I could do about it. So...
imagine, like, I was streaming on Thursday and someone was camping my spawn with a medium turret. And it was a freaking pain in the ass. I made it my job the rest of that map to make him miserable because he made me miserable for 2 spawns. And that's all I did. I went to go find the guy and I killed him. Don't spawn camp me. But imagine someone spawn camping you with the BXT. Like, you can't even start your route.
Yeah,
man, that would have been bad.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there is a place for the sniper rifle in the game. I'm not necessarily trying to argue that it needs to be taken out, but I would like to at least see what the game plays like without it. Because I don't know how you fix it. I think you take energy regen off, first of all.
Yeah.
I got Jazz in my chat who played Hoff for us a couple of times in the pickups the other day, and he said 2 interesting things. One was in T2, your route is over if you get sniped anyway, just because of the damage that it does to you. So I guess that's an interesting perspective.
That's true.
And it was even worse in Tribes Ascend, frankly, where you had to do disc jumps and you had to do health regen. So even getting tickled by a single bullet would mess up your health regen and would screw up your entire route. Don't get me started. That was my least favorite part about TA in general, but that's another topic. And then he suggested, what if the BXT just depletes your energy instead of locking it out so it doesn't regen? I don't know.
Still,
I mean, that would...
I feel like that's still like anti-fun for the capper side. Like... yeah. When you brought up a good point that I could nod my head to, and at this point, like what we did in TA, like it was a dedicated job for me when I was competing to be the infiltrator and stand behind Tailspin, and then when Blitz was about to crest a hill, he would say 3 seconds kill Tailspin. It wasn't even about touching the flag; it was when to kill the sniper. Now I could do that because I had cloak and I can kill a light really quick with throwing knives. But here it's a heavy, and you don't have cloak, and there's no way to kill the guy. So it's remove the sniper from the heavy, remove all the anti-fun mechanics that I know they're trying different things, great, and they did a great job this patch to try dramatically different things in some ways. But this is one of those like it's too punishing. It's in the wrong hands. I think just damage is the way to go.
I agree. Yeah, like making you more vulnerable to taking more damage was something that I've heard a couple of times. We could get creative with it, but also you could just give him a sniper rifle.
A sniper rifle with auto aim.
Yeah, we'll talk about auto aim, I think, and I think there's some posts about the controller stuff. But before we move on from this topic, I guess I'm curious for you guys' thoughts. Like, when I first saw that snipers was a heavy only thing, I was like, that is just so weird and awkward. But I just realized, like, wait, that's just because I'm used to every other Tribes game where only the light armor gets the sniper rifle. Is it actually a bad thing, or is it a positive thing, or is it neutral that heavy is the only one that gets a sniper?
Well, I think the first thing to say there is it's not really like just an old Tribes thing, right? It's just a video first-person shooter thing in general, right? Like, you know, look at TF2 sniper, look at the sniper in the finals, look at the different sniping classes in Overwatch, right? They're all squishy heroes, right?
Yep,
that's true.
And I think the reasoning behind that is it's like a very classic thing in gaming, the glass cannon, right? You can do a lot of damage, but you're easier to kill. It's the trade-off. It kind of balances it a bit, right? I had no problem trying it on the heavy, but what I saw in the playtest was it makes it very easy to like on a lighter class you have to kind of position well, right? You have to be kind of out of the way, a bit away from the stand, so the offense isn't, you know, killing you really quickly because that's where they want to be, right? Where now it's on heavy, so you just sit on the stand, and then that circles back to my biggest issue with it, which is it doesn't matter what you do with the gun to make it hard to hit with. If the capper is flying towards you, it's an easy shot, right? You just put your crosshair on them and click. That's all you have to do, right? So, in my opinion, worth trying. Sure, why not? Let's try a billion different things, but I don't think it worked. I think it very much didn't work.
Yep. I think a lot of people have the general consensus, whether it's this chat here that I have, Fishes, I'm sure, I'm not even looking, but I'm sure, and just in general. Like, we tried it for multiple patches too, and I know Praj was always like, buff it, because he just realized how ridiculous it was from the first place. But here we are. I think we tried, we saw, we conquered, and now we want it back in the right hands.
I actually have an opposing view. I don't mind the sniper rifle being on heavy. I played some Tribes 2 pickups, and sniping, especially when you're playing these like it was like 21 versus 21. It was like crazy giant maps, but sniping with light, you know, you can position yourself midfield and have a lot of impact. So I think making it so you are a little bit only the immobile people can use snipers isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't hate it, I'll say that.
Okay.
But
yeah,
anyway.
I guess there is something to be said for if you want, you give the sniper to someone, but you balance around the fact that you're giving them a ton of damage, right? And a weapon that's more challenging to engage with because most other people have to close the gap, right? So you can do that with health. You can do that by limiting mobility. You can do that all by limiting what else they can do, right? If you want a sniper rifle in the finals, you have no other gun. That's just your gun, right? So there's lots of options for sure.
So I'm going to pull up this clip real quick. Sorry, Jim and Fish, you can't see it real time, but it's something I sent you. It says I clipped this. Wait, is this mine? Okay, no, this is what I wanted to clip. But I'm going to find a clip that I sent it to you, Fish, last night that shows the auto aim portion of it. And it's not great. And I think that's what I want to move into. There's even a thread in the feedback channel that's towards the top with a lot of thumbs up.
Why don't we just look at disable auto aim for controllers? That one.
Yeah, that was going to be the segue that I had.
Yeah.
It has the things I wanted. Perfect. Yeah. So just take a look at what we're talking about here. I'm going to disable the sound so we can talk over it. But you can see he's not even zooming in, and he's aiming, and you can see he's clearly missing his shots. Look at that one right there, right? Like, there's something going on. It's not great. that the sniper, when you're not aiming fully accurately, that it's hitting. Even that one right there. I heard rumor of it.
Play the clip in slow motion just so we can see how ridiculous this is.
I heard the rumor of it, and I'm like, I'm not the one doing the research of it. I have to take your word for it, or also be mindful that maybe that's not the case. But after seeing these videos, I'm like, this is a concern, especially if now we're saying this is for controllers only, and they need the aim assist like every other game has. Well, what about the people that can manipulate this, where they're not even on a controller and they can enable it for their gameplay on mouse and keyboard? There is that risk too. This one has 100+ upvotes. I think, I guess I don't upvote enough. I'm upvoting this one. This is a concern. This one scares the fuck out of me, regardless if it's sapping energy or not.
Oh man, I'm watching this clip in slow motion, and it really illustrates just how insane this is. I've seen auto aim for controllers in Apex Legends. I've seen it. There's a big conversation going on in the finals right now for auto. Aim assist is kind of a probably better way to say it. I have never seen in any game it's not even an aim assist. It just the projectile is just gigantic. It's like 20 meters wide. You can shoot not even close to the person and hit them still, which is absolutely bizarre. It looks like it's cheating. It feels like it's cheating. I was really quite disturbed when I saw this yesterday, because this is not good. I mean, like, if this is how it's going to be, then actually controller is the better method of playing, at least defense. I don't know if you can ski on controller, but
I'm trying to channel this thought in my brain. I'm always like, I always hear usually optimistic, positive thoughts from me. Where I'm like, you know what? Maybe this was the patch that they just went fully overboard of like, let's increase projectile speeds, let's increase projectile sizes, let's test out this auto aim thing, whether they want to publicly say something about it or not.
Adam, before we go any further with this, I think we need to point out Erez did comment on this thread.
Oh,
he did?
Yeah, and I think it's important to read that because his comments say, I don't know if you want to show this, but I can read it. So his first comment says, could be that someone was testing controllers and had it activating. Matchmaking will be based on input type in the future, so it should not be a problem. Later on, we get there is work being done for consoles, so it's probably something that was put in for testing and not turned off for the mouse users. Yeah. And then we have custom matches should have a setting for that in the future in regards to just completely turning it off. So I obviously continue the discussion, but I wanted to make sure we were kind of transparent about that with people watching. That
I didn't see that response. No, that's really important.
That's good context.
I mean, first of all, I've never seen Erez or even any dev comment on any posts. It makes sense that this is the one that they're gonna comment on, because this is intensely crazy, wild stuff. So thank you for calling that out. I'm very glad to see Erez commenting on this.
Yeah, huge. And like when someone brought it to my attention on the side, again, trying to be positive about it, I'm like, yeah, there's no doubt that they're thinking console, right? And then console is known to have some kind of auto aim or auto assist added to it. So perhaps there was something that was built into this build that they got back from the Christmas break and didn't disable it, or still testing and didn't want to publicize it, and we found it, and here we are. So this is great to hear from Erez. Erez, if you're watching or if you see this, or anyone, like, this is the kind of communication we love. Like, this really helps dip things in the bud for these speculations that we have and these concerns and scare tactics that we bring to ourselves.
Yeah, and also this is definitely a topic that's worth discussing and worth putting out, worth us having a conversation about, but it's also not one that I want to dwell on, because like, this is obviously broken and they need to fix it. And I'm sure that, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but especially after reading Erez's comment, like, it's going to be fixed. It has to be fixed. So I don't think we should dwell on it more than it needs to be dwelled on.
Yeah, testing in separate environments. I'm seeing that from Veer and you commenting on it too, Jim. I think bringing a console audience is something I think there could be a really good opportunity there. I'm not playing on console, I'll tell you that. But there's a lot of console people out there, and it could be a cool thing for the game to try. So yes, let's do it. But I see the concern, like, we already have small play tests if you want to diverse. But I feel like all the people that we have today are all PC mouse and keyboard folks who are just going to continue to test it. And it's really hard to deploy on multiple different consoles. So if you're doing like Xbox and PlayStation, you have to get your build verified and deployed and running accurately and such. So I don't think there's probably going to be many tests for the console side as much as there is keyboard mouse. Should we move on to another topic outside of BXT, aim assist, and such?
I think we should.
The next one I see a lot of upvotes is bullet velocity inheritance should not be setting. Okay, this one's interesting. Any immediate hot takes or thoughts on being able to change your own inheritance in settings? Did you know you could do it?
We could last test. I don't know if we could this test.
We could this test. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I thought this was the first time we could do it. The last test we had sliders.
The last test we could slide the lateral jet angle, but not inheritance.
Right.
Got it.
Oh yes, and this. Sorry, yeah, that's what confused me. Yes, this test we could change inheritance. Right. I'm kind of curious if that's going to be a permanent thing. I don't know. It doesn't sound like a bad thing to me. Anyone who wants to be super serious, if it turns out there's a optimal quote unquote setting, then they'll use it. I think it could also just be to gather data about what people actually want, right?
Yeah. I like how this one's like one of those like balanced topics with thumbs up and thumbs downs. Usually it's one or the other, very, very evidently. And Zato, I appreciate you giving me like the TLDR of the thread because I'm not reading these live. It would be a bad thing. I see Fire got a lot of upvotes on his initial thing, but what seems to be like the main topic based off of Zato's TLDR is what should be the default setting for new players, and not as much should it be in the game or not. I personally didn't touch it. I felt like I was hitting MAs and it felt the way I wanted it to feel as I was shooting the gun. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not touching anything because I feel pretty darn strong as is. Maybe there's a better setting for me and I should try it. But for a 24, 48 hour playtest, that's not something that I'm going to be trialing as much as I am just enjoying the game. So I say keep it in. I don't see the harm for people being able to change a setting that feels better for them that isn't necessarily giving them an advantage, because I have the same advantage if there is an advantage.
Yeah, I have two minds about this. One is it seems incredibly odd and strange that you can change something so fundamental as the way that the weapons work and the physics of the weapons on a personal basis. The other flip side of that coin is everyone seems to like the fact that they have this customization. I set my lateral inheritance to 50% because I'm a Tribes 1 player. And I'm happy. I'm hitting shots more than I was before. So, I'm pro keeping it in. People like it. It means that no matter what Tribes game you come from, you can feel more comfortable. I'm for it.
I guess Era's replied on this one too. Someone saying, and Fire, are you saying the faster the projectile speed, the less inheritance matters in your opinion? That makes a ton of sense, right? Like, the less travel time, the less that it matters, because it almost feels like it's instant, especially if you're close to someone. Well, Control
this is
F.
Also just like everyone's always arguing over inheritance in these new Tribes games, so just let them set it to whatever they want. Maybe that's just it, right? Forget the argument, set it to whatever you want, and we go from there. We had the Spin Fuser XD in Ascend that had 100% because people kept asking for it. Maybe this is their solution this time.
You know what this solves too is like it was odd to see that there was 3 different Spin Fuser variants in like a loadout, and like I would hate to see more than that, right? Like,
yeah,
it's weird, especially from a new player. You look at like what's inheritance, right? Like most players don't even know what that means. So why are we confusing them with it? Just give them like a default setting that over time, as they learn from their friends or they play around with it and they realize it's better for them, like, don't put more Spin Fusers in the game. Leave it as a setting. And Era says best setting for new players is 100% forward, 0 lateral. This is a fixed value with many vets complain about since they were not used to it. So we gave them an option since it's mostly just a preference thing.
I love
I'd have to agree with that.
Give players the option. Like if that's the case, yeah, default it to that and then give players the option. Why not, right? It's not going to do any harm.
Yeah, cool. All the more you're challenging Fire's thought too, and I see where you're coming from too. I'd love to have you in here at some point. I think you know this game better than most people, from a technical level, especially. All right, so that's inheritance. I'm gonna keep scrolling down until I see one in double digits at least. There's Is 24 about upvotes on the thrust pack? Do we really need to be a longer timer and deplete energy? I think the only thing that I feel sucks about the thrust pack is when you spawn, you have 0 energy, which has already been noted as a bug. So that alone, I think if that gets resolved, doesn't make me concerned about the thrust pack. Because Blitz taught me something. I think he was telling you, Jim, when to use the thrust pack, and I was always only using it in certain points. But when you come down from really high up in the sky and you're skiing down a hill, when you're going down that hill and you're on the ground, use your thrust pack and watch how fast you go. Like, that's where you see the power of the thrust pack. I even took fall damage somehow when I did that once. What the fuck? Like, maybe someone shot me and I didn't see it, but I'm pretty sure I took fall damage because I just hit the ground and thrusted into it.
Yeah, I think I'm not necessarily opposed to the suggestion here. Like, both on a cooldown and using energy seems a little odd. Like, maybe it would be more fun if it just used energy. So, use 50% of the energy, and if you really want to, you can use all your energy on 2 thrusts type of thing. That might be fun, but I don't have a big problem with it the way it is.
I don't either. I
think
think it's interesting. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I had no
but
thought.
I think there's a meta, there's kind of a meta problem, a meta angle to this, which is, does light have the tools does light armor feel like it has the tools to be competitive with medium or heavy armor in terms of the value that you get? And right now, truly the only reasons to pick light are the packs that you have access to. Your discs do less damage, your chain gun does less damage, you have less health, and you can only go marginally faster, really, than medium at this point. So for me, the question about does thrust pack really need to be long timer and deplete their energy is more a question of, is light strong enough in the meta today? I would argue that light absolutely has a place in the meta, mostly because of blink pack right now. I personally don't think thrust pack is enough to pick light. So my interpretation of this is the thrust pack actually strong enough as a choice compared to the blink pack in the right hands? I don't feel like it is. I think maybe if thrust didn't sap your energy at all and was just on a cooldown timer, or you got a little bit more boost from it or something like that, it would be worth it. But even then, I still think light is probably underpowered compared to medium in the most recent playtest.
Did you like the Tribes Ascend thrust pack, or are you familiar with it?
Dude, my memory is absolutely horrible because I played a lot of Tribes Ascend, but I don't remember it being significantly stronger. But some people say some people say it was significantly stronger.
It got to the point with Tribes Ascend that you needed the thrust pack as a light, period. Like, it's such a great way to just start any route, whether you're chasing, you're going for an E-grab, you're setting up for a route. And then also what I liked about the thrust pack was if I'm at a flag scramble, and this was on the Play for Real montage for those of you that know it, is if there's a scramble and there's like 5 people going after it, if you have the thrust pack and you have full energy or enough energy, you can thrust into the flag no matter where you are. Not like, because the current iteration of the thrust pack is it really only like pushes you down. If you want to try to use it like horizontally or in a specific direction, you get nothing from it most of the time. So I'd love to see the thrust pack similar to the Tribes Ascend, where you thrust, I could do it for like a nice miracles grab or return. Because as a light, since you don't have a lot of damage, you don't have a lot of health, you should be the most mobile. And I just feel like the thrust pack is only giving you like 30 plus more speed, and maybe more in some other situations. And in the right hands, like a blitz, I could see it being very powerful. But I do think the thrust pack needs a little bit more.
Yeah. Zato in your chat actually says, I disagree with Fish. Thrust needs a little buff, but is significantly faster than blank. So Zato thinks that there's a place for it. I mean, Jim, you're a capper. What do you think? Are you capping with light or are you capping with medium when you cap, Jim?
Always light, just because, I want that speed number. Like, I'm a pub capper. I want that speed number as high as possible when I grab that flag. That's what I want, right? So it's always light. I started off this test with blink. I've been going back and forth with blink. But there was a bit less utility in this patch. You used to be able to kind of pretty easily blink into the ground in front of the flag.
Yeah.
And you would stop your blink and grab the flag. Whereas now I think you have to time it out. And some of those guys I know in pickups, those like really good cappers, had kind of timed that out and figured that out and were using it to good effect. For me, I switched from Blink to Thrust after Blitz told me that, actually, and
Same.
it was great. It's also nicer. There was also this time when I was jetting straight up and then blinking straight up to start on my routes, especially in the initial test, and that's so boring, you know? I want to get going right away, which is why I switched to Thrust initially.
Yep.
My biggest complaint about that aspect in this test was those narrow spawns, because I want to be able to go out, ski, thrust, and go down a hill.
Yeah,
so I don't mind the change where after I found out that from Blitz, but before I knew that, it felt useless, thrust.
the fact that like even I didn't know the full potential of the thrust pack, and I ski in light like 95% of the time, it's just not user friendly. I think there does need to be something a little bit more user friendly for the thrust, and I feel like the thrust should be like the default pack for a new player. Blink is a little more advanced, especially when you're capping, and I want that. I don't know. I think blink capping, especially when I've been playing Chase, it's a pain in the freaking ass going against like someone like Jick. Or the solo doing these things, but it's beautiful, and when executed, it's cool. Like it's there should be a risk and reward though with it. And the thrust pack, I feel like should be the reward is it's easy to use, and right now in its current state, I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think your point about the kind of standoff type of situation was great too. It's like it gives a reason to kind of run light in that situation where you know you're going up against people who are stronger than you, but when that flag drops, you can thrust towards it and return it first, right?
Yep.
So I really think, and that's exciting. You know, that's fun. That feels good, right?
Fish, do you want to talk about your spawn point issues?
Yeah, I was gonna say Jim kind of segued us to that one already, talking about spawns, because you talked about one more element of spawns, which I don't even discuss in my post. My post on spawn points was actually mostly just we need to fix these bugs that were introduced in this recent patch, because
Yeah.
as far as I know, and we did hear this from a dev, that the spawning with no jets is a bug. However, it didn't get fixed between the last mini patch and this patch, so I don't want to assume anything, but hopefully it's a bug, because spawning with no jets is unfun. It punishes you even more. It punishes cappers specifically, but it punishes anyone for respawning even more than you already get punished in this game. It's unintuitive. I know Adam, like a bunch of streamers I was watching were like, did they nerf the thrust pack? Because they were trying to thrust right out of spawn. They didn't even realize that they spawned with no energy. So I believe this is a bug. I've been told this is a bug. Hopefully it is a bug and it just gets fixed and removed. And you spawn with all of your energy again. Number 2 is one that was super annoying for me, who's mostly been capping in pubs and pickups as well, which is you get fixed to a single spawn point for the entire map, and you only spawn out of that single spawn point the entirety of that map, which is super annoying. I think specifically on there are a couple of maps where I prefer one spawn point over the other for starting my routes, and if you get the wrong spawn point, well, you know what? You're fucked. So I'm assuming this has to be a bug as well, but I think there are actually interesting discussions. I think some people have suggested you should be able to pick your spawn point, which, yeah, you could do that. I think in Tribe's Vengeance, I think
that's the only tribes that you could, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only tribes I think you can actually pick your spawn point. But maybe we should have the ability to pick our spawn points. And then the number 3 is just a quality of life change, which, Adam, watching your stream, I saw that you do this as often as I do. But I have just this muscle memory of wanting to click to respawn.
Uh-huh.
I always I'm spamming click, and then I just shoot myself with a disc and spawn and get bounced backwards. Sometimes it actually does damage to me.
Yep.
If you can't shoot out of the spawn, there's no point in shooting when you're in the spawn. Just disable our guns, please, so we don't accidentally shoot ourselves in spawn or make us invulnerable or something. But yeah, that would just be a quality of life change that I think would be good.
Yeah, the spawning. So yeah, there are bugs probably with spawning with no jets and not spawning out of the same spawn. I think those were either confirmed or just very obvious, and I hope that it is that obvious. And yeah, the disking itself, I saw it. One thing that I'll add to that third point in a way is there was twice in pubs that someone was camping my spawn. And you know what? In my younger age, that would be me. I wanted to troll, and I wanted to whatever makes me giggle, even though it's at someone's demise. Like, I will do it. And a fun fact, the reason why I having the name APC is because in Tribes 2, there's this mod called TAC, Tribes Aerial Combat. You can't touch the ground, period. You can only go on bases. So you needed to get in a vehicle to go to point A to point B. Well, I would be called APC, and people are like, hey, his name's APC. They'll jump into mine. And I would fly them into the middle of nowhere and then respawn. And so everybody's stuck in the middle of nowhere, and they have to respawn, and I would do it again. So there's my 12-year-old origin story. So yeah, I would be doing this. So my point is like, there should be back in the day.
Today, actually.
I hope there's somebody in this chat that's like, you did that to me. I know that was me.
I mean, we all did that as kids, right? Like I was the guy going engineer in TF2 to teleport people off the map, right?
Okay, I know
never
those
did
people.
Any of that shit. I'm lawful like
Shut
good.
up.
Okay.
There's something there that you'll be like, oh wait, never mind. I did do that. We'll find it. We'll get it. But no, when you're leaving the base, there should be some kind of invulnerability or just something that stops that kind of trolling, because that's not going to stop, and it's going to be a really bad player experience.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely easy solutions for that. I think some might be cooler too, like put the spawns higher up in the air. You know, people have an easier time to get up to speed.
Oh, okay, cool.
I personally love the idea of picking spawn points.
Me too.
That sounds really fun to me. I know, like, I've seen some people in the chat arguing for randomized spawns, so you kind of have to know routes from both sides. I'm fine with that too, personally.
That's how it's been up until now.
Yeah,
It's always been like that. Yeah.
getting one spawn for the whole map.
Yeah, it's just not it.
And it sucks when someone comes up and says, okay, I'm gonna, I had a heavy in one game who had 2 mines right under the exit, and he was literally just sitting there. And like, yeah, you kill him, right? Like, if you know what you're doing, okay, I stop capping, switch to heavy, go out, kill this guy, right? Kill out, go back as capper, run a route, and then rinse and repeat, right? So I think something needs to be done for that.
Selecting a spawn point would be fun. I think I even said that for Tribes Ascend, because there was times like, think of like a capper, right? And you're like, I'm more effective on these left routes, and I'm playing competitively. I want to spawn on the left, but instead you're like, please bleed the left, please bleed the left. Or if like you're trying to help your teammate who's like, I need to pass, you could strategically pick your spawn point so you can be at a better spot to pick them up. I think picking that is something that's so underrated in the Tribes realm of things that I do think it would only help the game. And I don't think, I think Altamar, I saw you, like, would it be too complicated? I don't think so, because like when you respawn, it should just pull up like a mini map, which we have a mini map now that's not really prevalent in previous Tribes in a way. That you could just like have that just grow in front of your screen, click the one that you want, and then boom, you got what you want. Like I think there's a good way and effective way of doing this.
Since we're on the point of spawn points, one more thing I want to get your guys' opinion about is, we talked about this last time we did a feedback thread or feedback stream. Spawning defense in particular, spawning so far from the flag. How are we feeling about that now? Have you thought more about it? What are your
What's the question again?
Oh, defenders spawning so far away from the base, and compared to every other Tribes game where you basically spawn on or around your flag stand, or pretty close to your flag stand at least.
Yeah, my experience in the 12v12 pubs, and I've been exclusively chasing lately, is I'm never at my stand, and I'm constantly using my rage perk to impulse to the next capper, respawn. Oh, they got the flag again, and it just nonstop. I have to, I can't be at my base. I'm constantly chasing. Now that might be the chaos of 12v12. Speaking, not a lot of 7v7 played. I admittedly only got like 4 or 5 pugs in. But I do feel like it is detrimental to a defense to be spawning at such a far spot.
I think it's all about finding the right balance, right? You don't want the defense coming back too quickly. You want like a buffer time, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, I killed the defense, let's grab the flag. But you don't want it too long either.
You think that's more tied to the spawn timer than it is like the spawn location, maybe, Fish?
I mean, reducing the spawn time has helped with the flow of the game this patch. I guess I'm probably going to be taking more controversial opinions than I thought going into this, and maybe this is my capper POV too. But it didn't actually feel that bad in pugs. Maybe if there was a spawn point that you like, let's say you can select spawns, and then there are 2 capper kind of spawn points, and then there's 1 base D spawn point that you can select. Maybe that would be more fun. But playing pickups, it never really popped into my head that this is a big issue that you spawn so far away from the base. I guess I am coming from the capper POV, so it's a little bit biased. But yeah, I don't know. I thought this was a major issue that needed to be resolved, and now I'm just like kind of so. Like, I think it's okay. It's not terrible.
What if?
I mean,
someone mentioned that there are spawn points that you don't use in the game, which I've noticed that yesterday too. I was like, yeah. What if your generator's up, you can, and there's a way to select spawns that only when your gens are up can you use those spawns.
That's exactly actually what I was about to say, because I've been seeing, you see a lot of the old tribes players talking about how you had to have your gens up to get certain weapons, right? Now, I don't think that's fun, personally, but maybe there's something to be said for, hey, if your generator's up, you can spawn closer to the base, right? Or spawn in a better position. And you get that same kind of gameplay without the
love that,
I
actually.
have to go get my weapons.
I think it's a great idea because people want the generator to be more meaningful as well. So that would make it very, very meaningful.
It'd be a fun test. And like, look, as it was said at the very beginning of these playtests, is that comp and casual are going to be different in its own ways. That's the same thing that you get in pretty much any other game. Look at freaking Call of Duty and all the things they ban for the CDL. It's if we find that gen play is just not great for 5v5, 7v7, whatever it ends up being, then we could just hit a flag on our custom servers and whatever we do in ranked play to turn off gens if we find that's necessary. But I think in general, like, we should start from like give it all a chance, and I think that's one of those things I'd love to test.
Vaxity wants to get dropped out of the battle bus from Fortnite.
Let's give it a test. Fuck it.
Why not?
Dude, I'm dropping in. Where are we dropping, boys?
Then you could have some momentum too. You can start your route.
Imagine we're all picking heavies at that point.
I love that. Yeah. And then a lot of people are saying in your chat, or a couple people said in your chat, what if you just got a speed boost out of spawn? I think like a jump pad, like from Tribe's Vengeance, would have just one of those was in every spawn point.
You know, one pitch I had for like a 1 flag CTF idea, but maybe we could try it out in like what we have today. If you remember Team Rabbit 2, you have these floating bases, and it's kind of what you were saying, Jim, is starting the spawn points maybe higher. But the cool thing with Team Rabbit 2, like the whole point is to get as much speed as possible in elevation so you could do flag passes. Like it'd be fun, like instead of like a boost, you just have a higher elevation, so that way you get the momentum of falling down from a higher point and then going right into a bowl and going where you want. It could be a cool way to doing it without feeling like it's too gimmicky of having a jump pad, or just do something like the finals and let me deploy a jump pad.
I mean, I've had this image in my head since these playtests started of like, why aren't we spawning on just like a little roll-in? You know, I don't know if anyone's ever watched skateboarding or BMXing or something, but you know, when they're going off big jumps, they start on a little roll-in. Like, why not, right?
Right.
Give me some speed right away, get things going quick, you know? I'd like that. I don't know about everyone else, but I would like to have just an easier time getting that initial bit of speed so I can actually have fun, you know?
I think this topic of spawn points is really awesome. I think we talked about the things that you found as bugs and frustrating fish, but then we started talking more like that actually is pretty compelling to consider and maybe test. So, man, you know what I meant to do? Is pull up a notepad and like jot down like the TLDR, so at the end we could sum up the top topics. Jim, can you do that for me?
Sorry, I don't take minutes.
All right, well, this is your job now.
I'm gonna write down. No, can someone in the chat steal the idea for generator based spawns and post it in feedback?
Yeah, Jim, I'm asking you to do work. Stop telling other people. Yeah, you're not middle management. You're not middle management.
You don't understand me. I'm not going to post it. I've had this idea for a chasing weapon since the first playtest. I never posted it. I don't care.
All right, I'm gonna rely on my brain to figure out the TLDR and your guys' brains too. Next time I'll have a better way of taking down notes. All right, moving on.
By the way, shout outs to my fiance who just brought me hash browns, toast, eggs, and sausages. Nice.
That is nice. When's that fiance turning into a wife?
I don't know yet. We don't know yet.
All right, well, figure that out. We need that ring on you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so projectile speeds were buffed too much was the next one in my list of upvotes. I think we talked about that pretty substantially, so I think we can move on. Let's see. I see a 16. Strengthen generator metagame and give players destroy repair points. I don't know where the points would actually matter. Maybe you want to give them points on the scoreboard so they feel like they did something, or at the very least, where I think is very compelling for everyone, and it's something that I'll die on a hill for, is everyone has their own strengths in a game. Whether it's me and I want to go fast, or it's somebody that's like, I killed X many flag cappers, or you're Jaggle and you get all the kills in the world and you'll be on the top of the list for most eliminations. There's people who are, I want to see how many generators I destroyed. I want to see how many generators I repaired. I think less points and more just like give people leaderboards that they can then say, hey, look at me. I repaired more generators this week, this month, ever of all time. And so you could say, I am good at something, right? It's what I call your mini victories. Yeah. Everybody wants to be known for something.
Yeah, and that is fun for a lot of players, right? Like when you think about, I mean, everything comes back to Team Fortress 2, because I personally think it was so innovative. But, you know, you had players who would play defense with the engineer, and that was fun for them, right? And I don't want crazy turrets in video games generally, but like the generators are another way for someone to contribute, right? Maybe you're not the best at aiming, but hey, I can help my team keep their generator up, right? I definitely think that's a good thing.
I think so too. Like the Wilder Zone, shout out to those folks who took the API from Tribes Ascend and put it in there. And I'm fairly certain I've heard that like Prophecy is like, yeah, we can, if community wants to make these types of tools, we'll give you what you need. I'm sure there's boundaries that we can't have certain access to, but I'd love to work with the community to build this type of stuff. If not in game, I would push for this to be in game if possible, but out of game is still nice, because like what if you're at work and you're like, there's only 12 hours left in the day, but you can't play, and you're looking, do I have, I'm Zato, and do I have the most llamas for the week? Oh man, this guy's creeping up on me, like it's kind of fun. It's gamifying outside of the game itself. Yeah, Holmes, that's the dude. Shout out to Holmes. I'm going to move on from that one. And this one's very obvious. Our boy Quam here. Shout out to him. But Tribes without VGS is not Tribes. So, look at this. From a dev, Doppelganger. Great guy, by the way. If you guys see his name, he's a huge ally for us as the community. I'm hoping he's listening. But if you ever see him, work with him. Same with like a Solstice. Like they are our biggest allies. I talk to them a bit, and they're truthfully trying to help where they can, and they're listening, and they're acting every time they see something big pop up. But he's saying, confirm that we're actively working on this Shazbot timing TBD. I would be surprised if they weren't working on it. If I heard something otherwise, I'd be like, this is ridiculous. But I'm actually surprised we haven't seen it yet. I will agree, though, not having chat where you could type to someone is probably for the best of the game, especially right now. There's times where I want to say like, oh my God, I haven't seen this tribe's name in 15 years. And I want to type like, yo, dude, how you doing? Get in Discord. I'd love to chat with you. But at the detriment of the community in the game, of people typing other things than kind things, maybe we don't need text chat quite yet. VGS is probably the best we should have. Thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm a big fan of not having chat between teams. I know, like take another random example, Dota 2, right? When I talk to people who play Dota 2, a lot of them just mute the other team at the start of the game, right?
Sure.
Because it's not fun. And I think most people have done it. I've been guilty of this too, but it really ruins your day when someone is beating you and shit talking you in chat, right? But I do think some amount of chat would be helpful for teams, especially in pubs. So hopefully we get that at some point. And I don't know. It's like, to be honest, I know everyone wants to type out their VG, whatever, but I did kind of like the weapon wheel direction they went with it, because I didn't play Tribes 1 and Tribes 2, and I wasn't about to remember all these different combinations. Right?
Oh, dude. Yeah, you will, though. You will.
Oh, I didn't. I managed not to for like 4 years, so.
That's nuts. That's a weird take.
I knew VGTG.
We'll agree to disagree on that one there, Jim.
What was it? VGTG was like, I have the flag that I would spam on my roads, hoping no one would llama me or something.
I'm the greatest, isn't it?
I'm the greatest.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I knew that one, and then I knew I got the flag.
I mean, it was easier in T1 and is easier in midair. It's like shorter, just 3 instead of 4, but, whatever.
I know, like, Smite took the VGS system, and it's freaking huge, and I don't... Yeah, you could type to people in that game, too. Personally, so just to be clear, like I saw your comment, hard disagree, Vax. Like, to be clear, me as APC, I would love to type in chat. Like, that's what I want. Is it best for the game, though? That's where the question comes in. So maybe you can only talk to your teammates, so you can't do stupid, egregious things to your enemies like I think you can in other games. I don't know. That's a question mark. I'm not going to die on this hill. And I saw a lot of comments on don't have VGS until the game release. I don't know if I see it. I don't see that being a problem releasing now, but I respect it. Like I want a VGF, you know, like give me the flag. Like when someone is like clearly needs help or take the flag from me. There's so many times yesterday I'm just like I see a healthy dude like coming out of spawn and I'm like running at him like take the flag. I have to hope they're thinking it versus me saying it.
That's true, and I definitely think there's value to that type of thing. And you know, VGS is definitely. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I never used it. I guess, or I did, but not a lot. So,
okay,
give people the tools to communicate. Definitely somehow, right?
I mean, if they literally just copy over all of the commands from Tribes Ascend, like it would be nice if they redid them, sure, but I'm fine with that. That's probably good enough.
Okay, so I clicked on this one. It has 16 upvotes. It's not. They like made the threshold, right? I guess at this point, it's like if you have double digits or like above 15, you get a comment. Not tying spawn class to base infrastructures makes the whole system pointless. And I'm not reading the full block of text, but based off that title, is it you should only be light if you don't have the generator up? And like inventory system like previous tribes, is that what he's getting at?
Or maybe it could be that, or maybe you can't get packs, or maybe you can't get perks, or something like that. I don't know if it, like, I mean, I don't think we should lock heavy or medium behind having a generator, but I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of at least trying to make the generator more important and crucial in the gameplay by locking something like a perk. Because, I mean, perks are hugely important in the game, but you could still play without them, probably.
I'm having so many thoughts about this, where it's like, what if, kind of what you're saying, to piggybacking off that, where if the gens are down, you still could spawn as light, medium, and heavy, but you only have like the base like loadout that you could pick, and then in order to have access to other things, you need the gens up. But then I started to think that's kind of like a pay to win model in a way, where it's like, it's obviously not paying in this case, but the thing is like if you do pay, you have access to more weapons than everybody else. So it kind of felt like that when I was thinking that. I, for one, I don't think this is a problem in the game. I think this makes it more fun, where you could just spawn whatever the heck you want and feel like you can make the impact at any point in the game that you want to make. Putting gens behind it, maybe that's for a 16v16 and above, and we can try that for a huge gameplay, but I would hate to see it for anything below 12v12. I don't want this to change. I feel pretty strongly on that.
Yet we just proposed the idea of giving you a base spawn point that's locked behind generator. So
yeah, but I think that I thought of that as actually an alternative to this, because I read this post this morning and I thought to myself, you know, that doesn't sound like a fun mechanic to me. Yeah, now, I never played Tribes 1 and Tribes 2, right? And TA obviously didn't have this, and I'm not like, I don't want to try and argue that like old game mechanics that don't exist anymore are always bad, you know. Doom, like the new Doom games are amazing, and obviously that was a type of game that wasn't made forever. But this sounds a little too much to me. I think I like being able to spawn in whatever I want and start playing right away. I don't think I want to need to have a generator up to do that.
Yeah. It was fun back in the day. As a kid, like it was just it was what was given to you, and I feel like back in the day with games in general, you played whatever you were given. You weren't very picky because there wasn't a big selection, and it wasn't like a free to play model. It was what was released is what you get, and you hope that there's a map pack for Tribes, right? Like I remember when they sent out a map pack, and you're like, fuck yeah, there's more maps in the game. But it was fun. Like, oh, the gens are down. I remember Damnation. I'm run through the tubes and try to find and use my blaster to get through the heavy shield, get the repair pack, and then now there's mortars coming in. Like the base play was so much fun. It was just what my Tribes 2 experience was. Tribes Ascend, that was not my experience, and I just enjoyed this game. So Tribes 2, like this graphic, this GIF that Jaggle put just cracked me the fuck up, dude. It's so funny.
Yeah.
All right. we'll move. Go ahead. You have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just the meta comment on generators and base assets in general is do these, because let's be honest, right
Hi,
now
Andy.
it's really not that impactful whether the gens are up or not. It's just not. In pugs, sometimes we had people dedicated to go kill them right off the bat. Sometimes we didn't. I didn't really feel the difference. As a player, I think I've killed the generators once in my 25 hours in the alpha so far. I have never repaired them a single time. I'm okay with a tribes that doesn't have like that base assets aren't that important, but
Yep.
so many people, if you look at the feedback forums and you look at what people are saying, commenting about this game, so many people do miss tribes where deploying turrets and keeping the gens up and
Yep.
being, protecting the base was such a big part of it. I just played Tribes 2 Pugs yesterday, and we were playing Katabatic and they killed our gens in the first 2 minutes, and Slush is in voice chat just saying, "Oh, we lost the game. It's over. They killed our gens too early." And I was like, wow, that's really, so obviously T1 having your base up is utterly crucial too. I guess I don't really have a super strong opinion on this. I sort of feel the same way as you, Adam, where if it's 16 versus 16 or or even maybe 12 versus 12 or a big game, then I think there's plenty of people to have one or two heavy defense that are just repairing and keeping the gens up, having
Yeah.
a turret farmer, etc. If it's 7 versus 7, I don't think that's enough people for generators to be like something that like you have to dedicate people to doing, I guess.
Yep. Cool. I will mention before I move on. Looks like I have an ad about the start. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna go in the side comment anyway. Fire and we were playing a map, and my whole thing, because like this one guy triggered me where he was like actually defending the gens. I don't know why I went down there in the first place. I think I was streaming and I said, screw it. Let me just play heavy for a little bit. And when I think heavy offense. So I went into the gen room, I took it down, and this guy was determined to make sure I didn't take down his gens. And so Fire and we just were heavies trying to take over the base, and there was 2 or 3 guys defending the base. And for the entire map, that's all we were doing was trying to take over their enemy base. And that was fun, man. Like, this was the first time in a tribes in a long time that I actually wanted to like do something other than capture or defend the flag. So there is a fun element to tribes with that, and I'd like to see it played. I just don't know if 12v12 or below is that.
It's also something that we can experiment with while they do playtests, right? So,
yep,
it's.
I know we've lingered on this one for a while, but I do love the idea of a base spawn being tied to gens. I think that's a cool idea, and not it wouldn't be like critical and change the entire game if you had it up or not, but it would make a difference. So that's cool to me.
Okay, recall mechanic.
Oh boy, here we go.
This one only has 18. Okay, I got to read what he says first before I upvote it. But recalls in general, before I even read his thought, is like just to recap where we're at today. You can't recall in the middle of the air. You have to be on the ground, and it takes you 5 seconds when you do it yourself. When you die or get killed by someone, it's 5 seconds. If you're in the middle of recalling and you die, it resets that 5-second counter. Or if you end up suiciding, whether it's like accidentally shooting yourself or blowing someone up next to you and you're in the mix of it, whatever happens, or if you do what I do where you're like shooting off the edge of an asset and you think the bullet is going to go into the further in the distance, but it blows up in your face because of how big the hitboxes are. I think it's 12 seconds that you end up having to wait with that. All of that just slows down the gameplay. So my take is, 1, speed up the gameplay. Sure, if you want to extend from killing yourself, take it from 12, bring it down to 5. For respawning, recalling, bring it down to 2-3 seconds. If someone kills you, same thing. If I get killed in the middle of a respawn, I don't think it should reset my recall unless it's the recall is a shorter time period, then it's negligible. So that's my take on recall. The mechanic itself, I think it's fine in the sense that it's not suiciding and it's just like you're recalling. I think that's a good modern way of doing it. But I want to be able to do it in the middle of the air. I don't know. That's the old tribes of me. I'm not going to die on that hill, but I personally would prefer that. So those are my takes on recall. I just kind of rattled it out, not really reading the post itself.
Well, I actually read this post today, Adam.
All right. This is
No.
good. I should have started with you then.
I think recall. So first of all, I believe the reason you sit there for 5 seconds with a delay is because of the nuggets. Because if you were able to kill out, then either you're dropping a nugget, right? Which
Okay.
means I assume you could just kill out at your base a bunch to drop a bunch of nuggets for your team. Or, if you're fighting someone and you kill out and don't drop a nugget, well, then they don't get a nugget, even though maybe they already killed you. And the end result is like, what's the most optimal way to play? Well, if you're gonna lose your duel, kill out, right?
Yeah.
So I do agree. I
That's
don't
a
know
good
why
point.
it needs the extra punishment time.
That's a good point.
I don't understand why there needs to be another 5 seconds there. I gather it's because they want people to finish their fights before they do it, but I don't really think that's necessary personally. I also think that that a lot of people have the wrong idea here, where they don't want to recall because someone's going to kill them. I mean, if it's going to take you 5 more seconds to die and you need to recall, then you may as well just recall. Because yes, you're going to have a bit longer spawn, but you're going to be back at your base where you want to be, right? So
Fish.
that's my thoughts on recall.
Yeah. Man, sometimes I feel like I'm a prophecy apologist, but for some reason I'm getting used to it. As much as I don't like the fact that you have to be on the ground, it feels incredibly strange and awkward. As much as I don't like being killed when I have 1 second left and it taking another 5 seconds, at least it's not as long as it was in the last patch.
Yep.
And I guess I can sort of see the strategic angle, or like the reasoning why this adds some small amount of depth, which, depth is always good. I'm not going to say I like the current recall system, because I don't, but I don't hate it. Also, you just got 10 gifted subs in your chat.
I'm like half listening now at that point. That's not a necessary thing to do. I appreciate it, but just so people know, like, I have no idea how this fucking Twitch thing works. This is my first month really doing this. But what I do want to do is whatever I get from it, if I get something meaningful enough, like, I want to put it into something like for the community. You guys know I do all of this for the community. It's how I got my job in gaming, is because of Tribes Ascend in the community work. So who knows? I will slip a little teaser in that there is, with custom games, there are tournaments that we can start running maybe. So I'll stop right there.
Adam and Jim to host a tournament. That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there might be something. There might be something in the works. I don't know. Maybe not.
LAN party at APC's house.
Let's go, dude. I'm there.
The one thing I will say about recall is the fact that when you kill yourself, it is like 12 seconds versus 5 is still just really, really, really bizarre. Feels discongruent. Feels confusing to new players. I hate that. So
yeah,
that's the one thing about the current recall system that I'm certainly not a fan of.
Yeah, I could do without the punishment for accidentally killing yourself. I don't think you often intentionally kill yourself in tribes. Like, that's punishment enough, right?
But that's the only time you do drop a nugget, though.
Yeah, to your point.
True.
To your point, Jim.
Maybe that's why.
You recall because you don't want to give them a nugget, right? So if you kill yourself, then you give them a nugget. And
so
that's your punishment, not 12 seconds.
Maybe the meta is to kill yourself intentionally at the base over and over at the start. Maybe you just have a guy who does that on your team.
For nuggets?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about that. I was saying that as like when I was playing defense, I kept like jokingly, like, let's say it was like the solo playing with me, I'd be like, "Yo, suicide, so I can take your nugget. I need more health." Like I was thinking that. I don't know.
Well, that's the new role for LD.
Have you heard of something called an inventory station?
Yeah, deployable inventory station. Now we're talking, and hide it in a tree when we're at it too. Who knows? Half the time the nuggets fall through the map anyway, so it's a gamble.
True. That's true.
Okay. Only 2 weapon slots is boring and loadouts need overhaul. That's getting a thumbs up without me even reading it, because I agree. The repair pack on the third one, I get it. You want to, incentivize people to repair the gens more, versus if you didn't, you're never going to select it anyway. But 95+% of the time, that means I have a useless slot. At least put the shock lance in it. I never touched the shock lance because I only have 2 weapons at that point. And a shock lance, taking up one of those 2 is not it. So I don't know. At the very least, give me a shock lance in that third slot. But I want to go back to where we were. And eventually I want to try I could pick whatever the heck weapons I want from any 3 slots, like how it was in other tribes where I could select first one is disc, or the first one's chain gun, the second one's disc. That's my take.
Yeah, I'm down for 3 weapons. Like you said, at least the shock length.
Yeah. To me, it feels like an odd reactionary thing to just remove the pistol and remove the shotgun and not give us a third weapon. Everyone seemed pretty unanimous, and these weapons are a bit too weak, and these weapons don't really feel like they're part of the tribe's universe. Like, you've literally got a disc launcher and then you've got like a normal ass pistol. It felt a little bit weird, but I'd rather have them than not have them. I had moments where I would finish somebody off with a shotgun, and it actually felt pretty satisfying. So I 100% agree. I would prefer to have those weapons back and balanced, but back, and I would prefer to have a third weapon slot for sure.
What about the system of being able to pick your own loadout? Should we go that far?
It'd be something worth testing, you know? Why not? We have playtest. Let's test it out. I think like maybe they have some balance concerns. I don't know. Is like a medium with a grenade launcher and a chain gun too strong? I don't know. Find out. I that's what I wanted to run on medium, and I couldn't. Right.
Yep. Speaking of which, I know with the faster projectiles and the bigger hitboxes and such, chain gun, while it didn't do a lot of damage, it was really easy to chain people down. I like it though. Like, I don't think the chain gun is egregious. I know this isn't really a talking point, but since it is kind of a segue of what you were just saying, I felt like the chain gun was there when I needed it. When someone was 20 or less percent left of health, I just felt it was too easy to chain someone. For someone like me who's not normally a chainer, I had pathetic aim.
I think people were saying the only reason the chain gun doesn't feel incredibly busted right now is because discs are incredibly busted, even more so that we're not really noticing how strong chain guns are. But for people like Hot Rod Ree, who's in your chat right now, when we were playing against him in Pugs, that man was chaining the hell out of me, and it was very painful. Some other folks like Frost were using the chain gun a lot and made it feel oppressive. Yeah, I mean, I basically every single weapon in the entire game is 10 times easier to hit in this current patch than it was in the last patch.
Yeah,
I would like to see the chain gun get a lot of work. I think people in our previous session and in general have actually said look at Midair's chain gun as a really, really, really good example of a balanced chain gun that doesn't feel oppressive but also feels very strong in the right hands.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, there's a couple mechanics that Midair, well, really one main mechanic that Midair has, which is an overheat mechanic where, excuse me, I'm just finishing my breakfast here, where if you fire for too long, then the rate of fire continues to go down and down and down. However, if you're moving quickly, then I guess the lore reasoning is that you're moving fast, so the air rushing past your chain gun cools it off so that you don't actually face the overheat mechanic as much or at all if you're moving quick enough. What does that mean? It means that in a duel where you're both kind of moving pretty slowly, chain gun is less strong because it'll overheat. Whereas if you're moving quickly and you're chasing somebody, trying to chase down a capper or somebody rabbiting with the flag, then your chain gun is quite a bit stronger. Another mechanic that is in, I think, every Tribes game except for Tribes 3 is bullet spread, so your chain gun is not 100% accurate. It currently in Tribes 3, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the chain gun is 100% accurate, which means you can laser people down from literally across the map. And yes, there is bullet fall off, but that feels a little bit oppressive as well. I'm curious to hear what Hot Rod thinks as the chain gun apologist.
Hot Rod, if you want to come in here, or if anyone, again, I mentioned this at the top of the show, and I'm not going to do it with a lot of people because we'll never get anywhere. And in fact, we're probably slow as it is. But happy to bring in folks to, if you come into the Tribes 3 official Discord, I could drag you in here to talk about a certain topic. Okay, cool. Yeah, Fire, what you sent me here, can you share it in the thread of this? I don't want to open up our DMs because I don't know what else we said. And like, I'm trying to avoid, I'm screen sharing everything.
Are you guys sending each other naughty pictures?
Don't make me say it, man. Let's just keep it as is. But
I did want to say about weapons, like this is some crazy science fiction game, right? We got a bunch of random dudes jetpacking around on different planets, like in this absurd armor. Like, we don't necessarily need to even be limited by realism. Like, make cool guns, right? And if like if there's weapons that work better for that type of role, like personally, I think the problem with the chain gun in general is you need something like that for chasing, or you want it for chasing, right? But the closer range you are, the better it's going to be, right? So it's like make some weird science fiction weapon that's the opposite of that, right?
all right, here's the video. It's in the screens and clips. Thanks for sharing it there. I So even before you even saying this, I was thinking like when I was chaining, I could just sit there chain forever and no penalty at all. I was waiting for the spread to get bigger or something, but I know what you're talking about and how you described it is perfect. So you can see as he's shooting it, it spins up, it shoots a lot, and then you see it's getting redder and redder, which then slows down the rate of fire. But as he's moving faster forward, his rate of fire goes up. So there's that overheat mechanic where if you're at least using your chain gun to chase somebody and shoot him down, you're not being penalized for that speed. But if you're just sitting there chaining, just hovering and trying to chain someone down, you're going to be penalized for it. I think it could be a good one for the could fit well into Tribes 3. Again, Hot Rod is probably cringing right now. All right, where were we? Light class. Should we go into this one a little bit? I know, Fish, you commented on it, or do you feel we talked about it a little bit more or enough?
I think we already covered this in some detail. I guess I'm curious for you got 53 people in your chat right now. I'm curious to hear the consensus. Do people think light is worth picking right now in the meta, or is it underpowered?
I mean, I want the light to get some love. And we skipped over physics earlier, but like more jets and the changes to physics in this test was good for everyone, I think, but lights, because I just hit my head on the ceiling more. Like that's what the change does for me as a light. I hit my head on the ceiling more. And I don't know, maybe the solution is just simple as raising the ceiling, but like sucks. It sucks when you need to go higher to get from one hill to the other, and then you hit your head on the ceiling, right?
I exclusively played the light class. I know a lot of people are like, I can go just as fast in medium as I can light, and I tried it, and it just doesn't feel. I just can't get that speed as quickly as I want to, and just me and Tribes being a capper all my life, but now exclusively chasing now. Both ways, I felt like I wanted to just go fast immediately. So thrust, go, or blink up in the air and then drop. So I realized the physics, and we could go into the physics topic here as well, Jim. Where the light, it just felt super floaty. Once you got speed, you let go of spacebar, let go of your jet, and just watch yourself just continue your momentum as if there's low gravity. It changed a lot. That was very dramatic to me. I didn't hate it. In fact, it made it a lot easier for me to hit my routes because it was kind of forgiving. But there is no air control, and there's like, it's really hard to carve. With that being said too, so I think the physics itself could be changed a bit. It's a little too stiff and floaty. Stiff as in I can't move left and right more, but floaty as in the sense that my momentum is just being flung forward. But someone said it in chat. I can't find it because my eyes aren't catching up. But the medium and heavy, what they have makes the light gimped, right? I feel like I could be destroyed as a light from the BXT, being just pummeled on the stand and such. I feel good though, and I'll end with this thought. I love chasing in light. I freaking love the flag chaser perk, and even though the flag is across the map, I have thoughts on like if it's dropped and if you should still get this. But the fact that I could chase every single time and get a huge boost of impulse, which increased from patch to patch to patch, that we're finally at a place where impulse is strong enough. I feel like I can effectively chase as light very quickly. So I like the light. I just feel like I die really quick as a light because of what medium and heavy have.
I don't think light is massively underpowered. I think it's only just slightly underpowered. And again, if you see cappers like Jick or DeSolo with the blink pack,
sure,
they're doing things that make it really hard to stop them. So the blink pack, I think, is still a really strong pick for a reason to pick light. in terms of how do you balance light a little bit better, it might be improving the thrust pack slightly, maybe giving them 10% more HP, maybe making their guns do damage closer or more or the same as medium. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I do think light needs like maybe a 15% buff, not like a 50% buff.
Yeah, if you give him a sniper rifle too, then like that's giving him more utility. That I think that's part of it. Is like medium and heavy have a lot of utility, but light doesn't really, other than like speed.
It also could be as simple as giving the light more air control, right?
Sure.
That's what someone just said in my chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
that's a good one.
But yeah, like that's because when you think about it too, like how do you deal with defense, especially in a pub? What's a good way to deal with it, right? Is to be able to kind of hide your coming in, like the fact, hide yourself as you fly towards the flag. That's what I'm trying to say. And more air control lets you do that, right? It lets you stay behind another object for longer because you can kind of curve around it.
I love that. I think that's a great way of boosting up light in a way that they should, right? You're light, you should be more agile. And if the whole thing is you get to go fast as a light versus being a killer or someone with like these strong utility packs or what have you, then give me more. If we all feel like light is a little underpowered. There was a topic, I think it was Shaz saying like capping last playtest didn't feel good. But I do feel strongly that like with a coordinated offense, like you should be able to clear out the flag stand enough so that the capper can come in without getting nitron on the stand or getting pummeled. Like the light, you can go fast enough and do these blink grabs and all that, that as long as your team's a little coordinated to clear the stand before you grab, it's not hard to cap. There should be that teamwork aspect versus, hey, I'm a capper and I should be able to grab the flag by myself easier. It's like, no, it's a team game. You need to be able to coordinate with your offense to get the flag. So I wanted to comment on that because I felt like that was a very important thing to call out. It's a team game. It's not a solo game.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just a matter, I think, in my mind, of getting that balance right for pubs too, right? Because, and maybe better communication in the game is the actual solution for that, right?
Yep.
But
so look at this, like hit scan guns. I strongly feel like automatic weapons such as chain guns should not be hit scan and instead have projectiles like the LAR from Tribes Ascend. It feels too easy to shoot down people in the air right now. Having other guns such as pistols being hit scan is okay, as long and range isn't across the map. So does he think the chain gun is hit scan?
Apparently,
yeah.
So that goes to show.
Is so big and fast.
Either he thinks that or he's being hyperbolic. But it's almost hit scan. I mean, it's like
that's funny. Yeah, I see a couple of clown emojis as if like you got something wrong here. But there's a lot of thumbs up for it. So I think that's the thing. That's kind of the point I was making with chain gun at this sense. Is like even I could chain, and it's because it was so easy to hit somebody because of the speed and the hitboxes. So I do think that needs to be tuned down. It makes it feel like it's hit scan.
Yep.
Cool. Moving on.
This next one's for Jim over here. Remove/change invisible ceiling.
Yes,
so
please.
God, I agree.
What's the point of having a ceiling?
I know why.
Like, why?
So I think I've heard this in the very beginning of Tribes, from maybe even Eras. Is like we don't want people to be zooming around the map, going so far high up in the air where you can't see them or kill them or shoot them. Like it becomes a problem for a new player in particular of just seeing these people just flying everywhere so far up in the air. Now I think that it's a valid point, but it shouldn't be that the game allows you to do that very easily or consistently, right? Like, because we don't want rabbits doing this shit either. But I believe that's my guess. Don't quote me on it, but my guess is to remove the ability for people to go so far up in the air constantly.
And to be clear, I don't have a problem with some ceiling. Like in the past few playtests, if I was going fast and went up a steep hill, I would hit the ceiling, right? But otherwise, I generally wouldn't. But in this test, I would be trying to get, from one hill to another that I, as far as I could tell, like I could do, and I would hit the ceiling on my way up, and that was not fun because then you're kind of having to fight with your jets to try and stay near the ceiling to go far enough. I just like it if the physics stay the same way to be a bit higher. I think it's very confusing. Like if you want to have that ceiling there, put a a force field graphic or something there, so I actually know where it is, right?
Sure, that's a great point in itself. Is like, well, if there is a ceiling, show me the ceiling. It's like, don't, if I look up, there should be a ceiling. Not that. It's just like, I think the oob in Tribes Ascend, where you don't see it unless you get closer to it. Like, do the same thing when I get closer to the ceiling that it's approaching.
Yeah, at least let me know it's there, right?
I think make it higher too. Just I don't hit it ever because I don't know. I'm just not as good as you, Jim. But watching some other people stream, I'm like, yeah, they're hitting the ceiling all the time.
JP,
on the roads to run into, but
so I think the reason why I skipped over your post, JP, and it's a big reason why I can't read everybody's, but I respect your opinion highly. Is one, low thumbs up, so it doesn't stick out as much, and two, we weren't trying to go through like quality of life change or like here's my list of feedback, because that could be like, oh, we already talked about this or what have you. But just quick things, because I love you, JP. You're a good asset to the game. Changing and creating your own crosshair. I think that's a cool idea. I think that's something that we talked about when Erez was doing his improv like Q&A at the very beginning of the game. And he's like, yeah, there's gonna be customization like that coming in. So hopefully we get to see that. Animation zooming in, size, remove weapon models. I think it was in the patch notes too, where the UI, they changed the size of the UI, so it's not as egregious. But I do think there's some weapons that are just super big. Modify the UI. I feel like that's like a nice to have, a quality of life change, I guess, but it's more of a nice to have than a requirement. So yeah, there you go. I looked over your thread. Don't be mad at me anymore. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. I think where I'm at is transparency request. Okay, I think this one's a decent topic. Transparency request. Devs, what are you testing for? What is your thought process? I think this one's a really good one, because here we are, speaking to a void in the way of just like, we're giving feedback. And if we had a better understanding of what type of feedback they're looking for, or maybe this is the feedback where it's like, we don't want to talk to you about it. We want to see your initial reactions without us tainting your minds on things. That's one way of doing it. If that's it, then great. We don't have to do anything more. But I'd love to hear more about like when we go into a playtest, and there is maybe some comms from a dev in like the feedback channel at first and says, we are proud of what we did for the physics for the light and the changes that we made because of your feedback. We'd love to know how you feel about the balance of each class, or where the sniper rifle is now, or something. Like if there's like some key ones, I'd love to at least have those kind of conversations, or bigger pictures of like, we're focusing on the physics this time, not so much the maps themselves.
Yeah. You were on honeymoon, so you missed this, Adam, but
Okay.
the end of last year they did, I don't know, I'm maybe not supposed to say this. I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm just going to say it.
Don't get yourself in trouble.
But
I'm sure everybody wants to hear it now.
They did a mini patch, and only had like like 10 people try it out. And so we got to try like the discs that were like twice as fast and the bigger hitboxes. And we were just chatting with them, and they basically said, "Hey, we want to just try and see how this is. If it's much easier to hit shots, and we're going to increase projectile size, and we're going to increase projectile speed, and we just want to see how it is." I feel like if they just said that to the whole community, then it wouldn't be this reaction of like, angry Smurf, love you, dude, but he's been everywhere, that he's just been constantly Fisher Price, like, this is a joke, whatever. And like, okay, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think if they had put that out into the community, like, hey, we just want to test this and see how it goes, I think that the reaction would be a lot more like leveled. So
got it.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agreed. I just clicked on, like, I scrolled down and like, I swear, Blood Mask, I feel like you have it out for me sometimes. It's like the pro players are literally just random streamers, LOL, and one is just an ex high-res employee. I'm not just an ex high-res employee, okay? I'm more than that in life.
He's an NASL champion.
Yep.
He is one of the most winningest Tribes players in the history of all Tribes games.
A little respect.
Prize pool.
A little respect here. But I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of us who have grown. Like, I'm not as a competitive player anymore. I just can't. I have a full-time job. I got things I got to take care of at home. I can't dedicate my whole life to gaming as much anymore. And I want what's best for the game in more of a casual sense. I will speak my mind on areas that I'm comfortable in, such as competitive gaming. It's literally my career. But I don't think I'm only exclusively thinking of the competitive scene when I think these things. I hope a lot of people see that. And if I don't come off that way, I'd love to find out how I can do this better. Sorry, I guess I took a little. It was a little personal attack here.
No,
I felt like.
I think, and Adam, I think that there's probably about, say, 3 groups of players, right? You have your really competitive guys, you have your casual guys, and then you have your kind of classics tribes players. Maybe they overlap a bit. And I think like it's on the devs to take feedback from all those groups and decide, kind of, and evaluate, what's good feedback, what maybe doesn't work for this other group and stuff. So I don't think it matters who's necessarily in those tests as long as it's people who are going to give them feedback, right? The devs can be responsible for evaluating.
Yeah.
Is this something that's only a concern for pro players and it's going to make it worse for everyone else, so we're not going to do it, right?
So I'm seeing Doppelganger again. I'm saying a huge ally for us in this, like, in the fight for what we think is right. Answering the original question about transparency. And he's like, we do look at a lot of feedback and data constantly, which can come from the surveys, which I think that survey, it's in the game. I don't have the link with me now, but I know surveys for any company is freaking huge. So if you fill it out, you're probably being heard. These Discord posts, watching streamers, playing the game. I mean, Eras was in my stream Saturday when I was playing, or maybe Friday night, and he was watching us pug. And he's like, I'm just watching. He wasn't commenting, he was watching. And I'm sure he's going to take something back that he might have thought was interesting, right? So that's true, watching streamers, playing the game ourselves every day, bug reports, in-game analytics, metrics around retention, engagement. We don't communicate much on the feedback or changes we make on a one-to-one level or in these Discord posts directly because it's so time intensive. There's almost 10,000 players in the Discord alone, which a lot of different opinions, and there's only a few of us. And there's an enormous number of feedback posts with 1K plus comments sometimes. Yeah, when you guys derail these comments sometimes, it's not it's not helping. It's almost hurting the feedback. So they run through these in manageable. So I'm not going to read this whole thing because you can read it yourselves. It's in this thing. Cheers to you, Doppelganger, for coming out and saying something like this. And I'm hoping that forums like this, where Fish and I and Jim, or whether it's Blitz, I try to get Blitz in here, or other people that are interested in being a part of this, let me know. But trying to create content like this that kind of, if you're just working at your desk or you're driving a long drive, that you could just put this on and listen and get the distilled version of this. I'm not saying my voice is the number one reason or the number one thing that you should listen to, but it's an avenue to help surface some of the best feedbacks based off of these thumbs up and such. So that's my take on why we do what we do. I feel like I'm not online anymore because you guys aren't talking anymore.
No, you're good, dude.
I was just holding my tongue, but yeah, I mean, I actually think it's an interesting perspective that, hey, we don't ask for specific feedback on specific things because we think that might bias the feedback.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about that, so yeah, I get it. Actually, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's why when I mentioned it too, it's like you don't want to taint people's minds based off of your perspective. You want people to be open-minded themselves.
Yep.
Great playtest build. Need minor slow speed dodging tweaks. This is from Slush. So faster projectiles make it new player friendly for fragging. Agreed. Forgiving hitboxes make it better for new players too. There's more jet fuel, new burn. I love that. We didn't talk about that yet, but that is something I truly loved. Oh no, my wedding ring. I dropped it. I'm still married, guys. It's not what you think. But yeah, the burn, like I feel like the amount of jet, I'll say it, I think is in the right spot right now. I feel like I have a normal amount of jet now compared to all the other playtests.
It was definitely fun when you're fighting someone to actually kind of be able to stay in the air for a bit. So I'd say I enjoyed that as well, overall.
Huge step in the right direction. Yeah, for sure.
Can't dodge much at all because the low speed dueling scenarios, basically duels while in the air, become who could shoot first. It's true, and especially with like how easy it is to midair. Yeah, but I also, man, I have mixed feelings when I just read this comment alone. Like I totally see and felt what you're talking about, Slush. But I also don't want the other extreme where people could just move left and right, and now it's like just a pain in the ass to try to aim, and now it becomes legions, and now I got down jet, right? I know I'm being over the top, but maybe I think the air control, again, when you're a light, if I have more air control and I can move a little bit more to the right and left, maybe that can help with what you're saying.
Yeah, lateral ability to change your lateral velocity in this game feels very, very low compared to other Tribes games. I don't really remember Ascend, exactly how Ascend felt I believe you had more more ability to change your lateral momentum and ascend. In Tribes 1, Tribes 2, midair especially, to an extent, Vengeance did not have the ability to change your lateral velocity in the air, but you had a grappling hook, so that wasn't really a major issue. Um, I I feel like this is actually a bit more of a contentious discussion point than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
We've got guys like Vaxity in chat who kind of dunked on me, and he was like, I can tell you're a midair player, bro, because you want to be able to change, your velocity at will in the middle of the air. And I went back and I played midair, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sailing through the air, and I'm like, I feel like I have so much freedom, but at what point is it actually too much freedom? So I think that there is a balance here. I don't personally want legions where you're just like a little gnat. You're like buzzing around.
It's hard to hit people like
any
that.
Direction. It's super hard to hit people, and it's really hard to predict where people are going to be. I don't think we need that. But what I really dislike as a capper is one of the scenarios that makes me the most tilted is I have run a really good flag run, grab the flag coming home, but I misjudge my return into the flag stand or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I overshoot the flag, and if you're like, oh no, I'm going to overshoot the flag by like 2 inches, it takes 12 seconds to stop, turn around, and fly back to the flag stand. Because when you start from 0, when you're not starting from, if you don't have a thrust pack or you're not going skiing down a hill from spawn or something like that, when you're starting from 0, you move so freaking slowly laterally because your jets do so little to move you laterally.
Yep.
We were actually discussing this with one of the developers, and they confirmed that your jets literally do nothing to your lateral velocity whatsoever. Lateral velocity only comes from when you're in the air. It only comes from that innate air mobility. It does not come from your jets whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is very unique to this Tribes game. In all other Tribes games, when you jet and you press forward, you are moving forward because of your jets, not only because of the air mobility. And I feel like I butchered that completely, but hopefully you guys understood what I meant there.
No, I think how you finished it too was a great way. Sorry, Jim, go ahead.
That was my experience too. If you're going over the flag, I'm holding back the whole way and barely slowing down. It got to the point where if I knew my return wasn't going to take me to the flag, I'm instead just trying to aim for the best wall, like the wall closest to the flag, to stop me. Because even when you touch the ground, it takes a while to stop, right? So yeah, I mean, I don't want crazy air control. I just want a bit more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think I read everything all the way up to the a really important part that Slush said, which is I don't suggest AD rapid dodging in the air, just a hair maneuverability at slow aerial speeds, like in the verticality, like the lateral piece of it. So I gave a thumbs up, a checkbox, and even the first heart of this post. I think Slush said a lot of great things here that I agree with personally. And I think it took a little time to digest the faster projectile speeds, but you know what? I had fun with it. I then scroll down, I see Lumberjack, and he's like, the faster projectiles are just less fun. When it's easy to hit mid-airs, they don't feel rewarding. Lumberjack, love you, buddy. You've done a lot for us in the community, and you bring a lot of good opinions, but I don't agree with that one. Not trying to attack, just disagreeing. I had a lot of fun with it, but I do want to see it tuned down a little bit. Like, I want to try it a little less, like, in my face. Maybe I want it back to where it was this past week, but I grew into it. And then you bring up small things like still getting anti-cheat bug and falling through the map, and instant flag returns and nuggets going away. Dude, it's been 5 playtests. Get rid of that shit. Especially if I want to run a dang tournament, I can't have that shit happening. So I definitely want to see things like this fixed. Cool, great post, Slush. I'm only speaking for me, not Fish and Jim. They could speak up if they agree.
It's good. I agree. I agree with him. Give us a bit more air control.
Flag timer. This one is so true. The flag, when it's off the stand, takes over a minute. I didn't time it, but I think it's a minute. Maybe it's more.
I think it's 90 seconds or something. I think it's more than a minute.
If there's a TLDR at the end of this stream, this one should be a top 5. It's small, but it is very detrimental to competitive gameplay, if not the casual. If I shoot the flag, actually not casual, because I try to keep the flag in a hard to reach spot in a pub. And I got little Johnny coming running up. He's like, I'll save the day and return the flag. Like, no,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
do it. Don't do it. But we were doing it in a pug, and we got to the point where it's like a gentleman's agreement where do not put the flag in a place where it can't be reached, or just auto return it. Return it. Because it's just way too long. Now, I hope it gets reduced to something like 20, 40 seconds, like you suggest, Fish, because there is strategical ways of just being like, hey, you llamaed and touched the flag and you died at the flag stand. Well, shame on you, because now you put your team in a bad position by the enemy putting the flag in a hard to reach spot. So it just needs to be reduced.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance to be found there.
Man, I feel like I was like red in the face when I was saying all that.
Especially after playing pickups, I felt this even more than in pubs. Obviously, people just return the flag in pubs most of the time. But in pickups, the one reason why it does make sense to have a timer is to punish llama grabs. Like, llama grabs should be punished and should be detrimental to your team, right? You want people to have good coordination on offense. But 90 seconds is like, what, 10% of the entire game? If it's a 15-minute game,
Sure.
it's way too much.
Yep.
So yeah, if you have, let's just say you are running a really good offense and just someone hits that like that shot that, and the flag is in a spot where you can pin it, it's just super frustrating to have the flag pinned in a base, or even if it's not in a base, like under a base, or up against a corner where it's just almost impossible to grab. And hey, you know what? Even if you do grab it, you could still die again, and then it resets the 90-second timer. Like, that happened in a couple of the pickups, like multiple times, and it was just, you're kind of screwed.
I mean, it's kind of almost being hypocritical too, where like you don't like standoffs, therefore we have this mechanic in the game that like cancel standoffs after 2 minutes. Then why do you have it 90 seconds for a flag off the stand that basically is a standoff at that point? In a different type of way, though. Like, it seems hypocritical. Like, bring the flag back to the base if you want faster gameplay. Cool. I think we harped on that one pretty well. Yep. I see some clown emojis and all on your thing.
I know.
Like,
what are these clown emojis about?
I don't know, dude. I'm sorry, you don't deserve this. But I think who does deserve a clown emoji is Jim Christ, and his heavy needs a buff. Jim, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk on this, and we're moving on. What do you got?
I mean, I think most people realized it was meant to be satirical, but it's like, I feel like the heavy has every single tool that they could possibly need except the Redeemer. Oh yeah, you're showing the video. Yeah, that was fun in Unreal Tournament, but I think we need to maybe slow down on giving the heavy anything else more useful.
You broke Adam, dude.
The other class some love.
I'm trying to stop laughing. I can't. I'm starting to cry. That is funny, dude. That's funny shit.
I mean, to be clear to anyone who didn't play Unreal Tournament, like when the Redeemer was on the map, it was very hard to get to, right? And it's just like, I think I don't want to talk about this, but I think I've hopefully in a tongue-in-cheek way pointed out what I think is the problem with it, and yeah, I don't know.
That's so funny.
That's my only feedback post I think I've made. So.
Is this what like incentivized you to spin up a Unreal 2K4 server last night too?
It's actually what reminded me about Unreal Tournament. Yeah, I was just thinking.
I
was playing the game and I probably got killed by a heavy for like the 50th time, and I was just like, you know what? Imagine if they gave them the Redeemer. Like if we just went all in on strong heavy.
All right, your 30 seconds are up on that.
Should we bring DeSolo into this chat? DeSolo, do you want to chat?
Who even is that?
Who even is?
Never heard of him.
You can't see him because he's going too fast and blinking on your flag. Yeah, DeSolo, if you want to come into in chat on anything in particular, happy to have you. Always a valued guest. Also, Jim, if you're able, I said last night I'm not going to download 2K4, but if you get enough people in here, like whether it's this chat or other people, and we get a good like private server going on, I could be talked into it.
Yeah, we'll see. There's, it'd be fun to have things for the community to play between tests that aren't just old Tribes games. Nothing against them, but there's other fun old games out there. So,
okay, Heavy Sniper needs nerf. We talked on that one. That's a thumbs up. If not, nerfed, but also just changed completely or moved into the different hands. I'm going to keep scrolling. Projectile spawn location is too inaccurate. Let's watch this video to get a sense.
I feel like we need to bring in Altimore on this one, because Altimore seems to be very technically inclined and knows everything about netcode and everything. But I do feel this, like, something about this game feels weird and inconsistent with like where your discs spawn, where they explode. I think there's some weird netcode in this game. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but
isn't this all part of the inheritance in a way, though?
I don't know what it is, but it doesn't even seem like it comes from your disc launcher sometimes.
I mean, it may not be, right? Like, it may be coming from the middle of your body or something. But this may be based on, because, like, going back to TA, things like the chain gun, right, were rendered client side, right?
Yeah.
So if you had bad ping, you wouldn't actually see where your chain is going. Now, for the spin fuser, that feedback isn't helpful, but maybe this is more for other weapons, so they're actually showing you where your weapon comes, or where your shot comes from on the server, would be my guess.
Yeah, it could be, like someone mentioned, it could be a visual bug. Altimore saying it seems like client prediction is affected by server performance in some way. And then there's a video of someone shooting. What did you say? There's someone shooting themselves when their back is on the wall. Same thread. All right.
Yeah, that happened to me multiple times.
I've had it happen too. And oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yep.
That's a weird one.
That is a weird one. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably likely that, like, if you're watching my stream, I'm gonna do my damnedest here. If this is a wall and this is your body's against the wall, but where the projectile comes out is like your body, its model is behind the wall, and therefore it's coming out of your body instead of it's coming out of the barrel of your gun, which should be in front of your body. Could be the hitbox size.
I think it was the hitbox. When they upgraded the hitbox's size, they didn't account for this, which is, it's kind of funny.
Okay, this is definitely I love people giving out their different tribes logos in here.
To Altimore's point, about your ping having it being server predicted versus client predicted, and there's this whole conversation about rollback netcode, which I think Altimore has also championed in the past. I was watching Shaz, who's in Sweden, play NA pickups, and he was having a hell of a hard time running his routes that included disc jumps because he had high ping, and even disc jumping wasn't working properly when he was even on the ground and just looking down and shooting, because I think there's a lot of prediction that seems to happen on the server side instead of the client side. And I'm butchering this completely. I don't have all the right words to use, but basically it feels like it's being server side predicted and it's not taking into account what the client was doing at that exact time. And I think this is definitely something that they're going to need to look into, especially for people with high ping.
Here's some good, more on like the hitboxes and the projectiles, and it's kind of going backwards from a conversation we had earlier, but this was definitely my experience. If you're watching this video, when you shoot a disc, you clearly didn't hit that guy, but the client says you did because the hitboxes is so big. Like, it was underneath him. Like, it's, from what I could see from the visual, never mind like the actual physics or the code, it hit his toe. So it was very forgiving, I think we were saying before. And then the other video being, this one hurt me a lot. I'm like trying to spam something, like I see someone in the distance, I'm trying to spam, and I'm next to a wall or a ground, and I'm looking down. I end up shooting myself. It all comes down to the hitboxes. Too big. Faster projectile speeds, cool. The size of the hitbox is probably the bigger problem.
That might be right.
Light capping has no advantage over medium heavy. Scrolling down, looks like we're getting a lot less thumbs up, which is good because I feel like we've been lollygagging a little bit. Little confused by this game. Oh man, I don't think I can read this one live. Capping feels not right in this game, and they think it's a combination of small maps. Lights are very weak. Lack of disc jumping and health regen. Okay. It's not Tribes Ascend is what I'm reading here. And no disrespect by any means, because I think there is some merit behind like what you're feeling from like lights feeling weak. the difference is like no health regen. That's a whole topic that we talked about last time, and I think a lot of us here, I think all three of us here in this chat at least agree no health regen is good.
Mm-hmm.
Jim,
Sorry?
He's the Tribes Ascent
how
guy,
Canadian
so.
of you? Sorry.
Oh, health regen. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I liked health regen and Ascend. I don't know that we need it in this game. I haven't ever found myself in a situation where I'm like, I need health regen, because I can build speed fine with the physics the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I health regen had its place in Tribes Ascend, and it crafted capping as the way I knew it. Right, I did my disc jump, my nitron, got as far high in the air I could, and I knew I'd get that health back. That's why I made those routes, is because I knew I was getting it back. Now that I know I'm not getting it back, now I'm thinking twice if I actually want to start a route with a disc jump. And most of the times I don't.
What I would like to see tried is they have that nitron on the light that looks like it's intended to give me impulse, right? I forget what it's called. Make it do like 100 damage to me, right? Make it small, and let's see how that goes. You know, because there's definitely something to be said for like maybe it gives you more interesting options, right?
Fuck, what was, oh yeah, I started like, so I keep saying I'm exclusively chasing these days, so therefore I have the flag chaser perk on. But I realized what's really cool about that is I can also cap with that, because if the enemy has the flag, I have a free disc jump, so I kind of cap with that now. I know there's flag drag and all those things, that benefits that you get from the other capper perk, but I can easily e-grab at any moment with my flag chaser perk, but also I can get pretty good speed to grab the flag pretty quickly on the side. So I've been using that exclusively.
I haven't actually tried it, but it does sound interesting. Like, there's a lot of, I think, stuff that could be done. I don't feel like you ever really need to damage yourself, but I do tend to like that mechanic of like rocket jumping, you know, in games where you do some damage to yourself and get impulse. So it would be nice to see a way to make it maybe more viable. I don't and there is something to be said too, I think, which someone maybe pointed out in that poster, another poster in the chat, which is everyone kind of expects health regen now. I don't know if that's a good enough reason to add it, but like there is some validity to saying everyone expects health regen in shooters now, right?
It's true.
There's one piece of feedback in your chat, APC, that I want to highlight. Fire, because I think it's cool. Fire has an interesting solution to the projectile hitbox size question. What if when you shoot the disc, it has a small projectile, say like 10 centimeters, and the further it goes, the bigger that hitbox gets.
Huh.
The benefit of that is it's much more difficult to hit close range mid-airs, which are not really the satisfying ones anyway. And then, well, I guess Binsweez now says it's my solution.
Give him credit.
So, hey, I will shout out Binsweez, who makes all of the best montages across every Tribes game. Shout outs to your Tribes Vengeance montages. They're sick. But yeah, the benefit of this is it makes it less simple and easy to hit the really easy mid-airs, the close ones, but still makes it more viable to hit the really long ones, which are the really cool ones anyway. So
yeah,
that's
a cool thought.
good idea.
I like it.
I like that
fun.
one.
Oh man, there was one I wanted to bring up too that is dropping me because now I'm distracted with this repair gun one that I had pulled up for a while. I was actually on stand, like I can't wave or say VGH or anything in game as we talked. So I see Veer on the stand, and so what do? I walk up in his face and I take the repair gun out and I pretend that I'm repairing him, right? And then, he takes his out and does the same. I'm sure he did this post before we actually had that interaction, but that's like my way of getting people's attention, is walking in front of them and say, "Hey, notice me? It's me, APC." I see you thumbs up this fish, and I was about to click it myself, but then I started to think, could this be detrimental? Like, could this be used in a negative way? That there is someone like, you got two heavies on the flag, or you got one person constantly healing the heavy, and even though there's, could it just be overpowered? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I do want, I know previous tribes, at least tribes 2, you can repair anything, whether it's a person, an asset, or what have you. But I don't know. I do worry about the or at least want to think about if that repair a teammate could be a problem. If it's a mandatory third weapon, though, I think you're right, though, right? If it is that and you're taking something away from me, which I don't agree with, you shouldn't have this as you should have this actually considered as a repair. Just saw.
Yeah, we talked about this last time, I think, but when we talked about repairing and healing, I like this is gonna sound so stupid, and people are probably gonna dunk on me for this, but would mercy work in this game? Like, what if you could like
Ha,
I mean,
dude,
this would
imagine.
be a completely fundamental reimagining of tribes completely from the ground up. But I just had this image in my head of like, what if you had an Overwatch-esque kind of approach to the hero champion design or whatever, and you had a mercy that could fly to other teammates and heal them, and I don't know. It's a huge rabbit hole and probably not worth going into in crazy detail, but
Dude, imagine like tandem capping, like it's Blitz and I like
exactly.
flying together, and I'm just like pocketing him. That kind of that would be funny to see.
I think it could actually be sick. Totally. Anyway.
Right. I'm scrolling through trying to find some good ones. Spin Fuser is way too fast, and the shot is way too big of a hitbox. That seems to be, if there's one very loud thing, an obvious thing of this patch. People are commenting on, love or hate it. I think it's clearly a topic of discussion.
Oh yeah.
Scrolling criticisms from brand new players. There's a beginner tag on it too. Cool. I like this. This is the kind of stuff that we should surface.
Now we can tell them all why they are wrong.
Yeah, and why the game should be more
competitive, as we've always done in the tribes community. Just kidding.
The game needs to be more competitive. All right, let's see how he's wrong. No. I got 5 players that play Tribes Rivals for the first time when without prior Tribes experience and with minimal arena shooter experience. Here's the immediate criticisms off the bat. I want to go faster, quote. It's very hard to gain speed. Remove the chain gun. They think it feels like hit scan. And so it's easy to just die by it seems. Lights feel extremely weak. We keep hearing that one. Snipers feel unbalanced. Ask for feedback on the heavy and abusing the sniper. And the first criticism was that it deals way too much damage to lights and there's very little counterplay. No health regen feels bad and unintuitive. Ooh, okay. Oh man, what if we ended up having health regen land into a playtest? That's gonna scare the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
Ooh. Again, I can have an opinion, but maybe there's a place for us to test it, and see how the new players enjoy it. I know what the thing I was gonna bring up is the lack of fall damage. I actually want that to stay in the game. I don't want this, like all other tribes had fall damage or impact.
I'm enjoying no fall damage, dude.
Yeah, yep. I think it's good for a new player, and for me playing the game, I'm okay with that. And not being able to stop recalls feels unintuitive. I thought about that, but I do think stopping recalls could be a bad thing. I'm not recalling why I feel that way, but I know there's a good example why canceling a recall could be bad.
Well, you just ping someone once, I guess, and then, don't actually kill them. I don't know. I don't like the idea of stopping recalls. I always thought that was kind of central to tribes. Was you?
Yeah, you're suiciding. Like you're not coming back from your suicide if you K'd out.
This feels like a mix of like legitimate feedback. It's all legitimate feedback. I shouldn't say that. This feels like a mix of like valuable feedback, but also like they need onboarding for some of these things, right? Like,
yeah,
I want to go
point.
faster. To me, in this game, because I've played tribes before, I don't need help going faster, right? I think like something that teaches new players a bit better how to go faster helps with that, right?
Yeah, and I think we were trying to, like, it's quality of life things. It's making the game a little bit more intuitive, like we were saying with the thrust pack. Like, Tribes Ascend, everyone used the thrust pack because it just felt so essential to gain speed. Like, that could help fix the I want to go faster piece, less like physics changes.
Yeah. A lot of this is the same feedback we've seen really, good players give too. Like, snipers, light feels extremely weak, that type of thing, right? So
there's one thing that we haven't really discussed. I mean, we touched on it, but not really. We got dedicated servers. I mean, that's not the right word. We got private servers.
Custom games, yes.
Custom games. That's the right word.
And it saved the queues because when the game first released, the queuing aspect of it was bugged, and they needed another hour or two to fix it. So we had custom lobbies, and everybody was piling into those and spamming it in general chat, and the mods had to go crazy to stop that. But yeah, the custom it was great, and they worked for the most part. The only thing that sucked is that if you crashed, such as Fish more than 70% of the time, you couldn't rejoin and you couldn't backfill either, which sucked. But Eras was in my stream and he heard and saw this, and he did confirm next playtest will have some backfilling, or in future playtests will have that. So that will be a nice step up, especially if we do something competitive in the future and we want to do private games. Some people did mention that custom servers maybe isn't it right now, because maybe you're pulling people away from the queue aspect of the game, which then creates longer queue times and just pushing people into private games and pushing it more down a competitive route maybe. But from my perspective, I was so happy to see it, so we can do pugs and try a little bit more of what we do best, which is do organized play. I don't even want to say esports, just organized play.
Yeah, I had no problems queuing 12s the whole test, so.
What was it you though, Fish, that was saying like Co Carnage, who is such a great asset for us in Tribes for with his influence. He was trying to stream Tribes Saturday morning, and he queued for a long time and never popped, and so he just stopped.
I saw him streaming for a very, very short amount of time, but I don't know if that was the reasoning.
Yeah, someone said that to me then. I forgot who it was then, and I was like, damn, that is a huge bummer. So it could...
Adam, should we do our top 5 things that we want to see for the next patch? Is that how we should end this here?
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel like we're starting to run out of steam.
I got 5, man.
You got 5?
Yeah.
Right now?
Nerf heavy, nerf heavy, nerf heavy, nerf heavy, buff light.
All right, I'm gonna type in the feedback channel of like what we thought. So, nerf heavy. Is that a top 5 though?
It's one of mine.
All right, I'll put it on there. We could start there.
Primarily, I'd like them to take the sniper off the heavy, and let's see how that goes. That would be my actual one.
All right, so we could do back. Would heavy and sniper be together, or could those be separate?
I mean, I like I said, nerf heavy would be my 4 top points. So yeah, they would be separate.
I won't ask again. So, do you think nerfing heavy is a good idea?
If you're asking me,
yeah, just kidding.
Yes.
Change flag timer was one that we said I went right in the face with. Change flag timer, reduce flag timer. Around 30 seconds. Playtest. Light. Oh yeah, buff light such as air control.
Yeah, let's try giving the light a bit of air control, a bit more air control than everyone else, and see how that goes.
Playtest slower projectile speeds.
Yeah, balance projectile speeds. Let's just balance
slightly.
Projectiles in general, or like
let's tweak it.
Ease of hitting target.
Tweak per weapon, and change hitbox size, because I think it's something like the chain gun. That one should be more dramatically changed, especially the hitboxes, less like the disc, because the MAing is fun, it's cool, and people are thoroughly enjoying it. So let's not dramatically take that away, but I think we do need to dial it back a little bit for that, but a lot more so for the ones that feel like hit scans, such as the chain gun.
Fire's got a good one in his list here that I think a lot of the guys who want to more fight and less cap feel strongly about is the survivalist perk.
We didn't talk about that one much, did we?
No, but people have been asking that. And I would have thought, I know we're trying to wrap up here, I would have thought increasing that health regen being added a bit and making it so if you take damage it stops would potentially be a good route for that, right? So you can't just pick it up in the fight. But I think that some sort of changes to survivalists is going to be important to a lot of those people who want to fight.
I don't have a horse in this race. I didn't touch it or have experience with it either. So I know in previous playtests, like I would go as a heavy. The only time I would use heavy is going over with like a portal with survivalist and just destroying the enemy base and then portaling out, getting my nugget, healing up and all. That was my experience, and I thought, yeah, survivalist needs to change quick. But when they changed the whole you pick up a nugget and it's not instant, it's over time, that's when I was like, okay, this feels like it was a good change in the right directions. And that's the extent of my experience with survivalist. So I can't really comment efficiently. I am going to add as a bonus to our top 5 is more or better spawn points based on generator status.
Yeah, I want that.
Oh yeah, and then choosing plus choosing spawn point. Because again, like I think it's the best thing I could say on that is if my team needs help and I've died or I respawned or not respawn, what's the freaking recall? Jesus. If I recall, I want to be able to help my teammate by going to the right spawn, not cross my fingers and hope that RNG wins in my on my behalf.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's a great list. Nerf heavy, nerf or change sniper / BXT, reduce flag timer. I know that one's minor, but it's huge to us here.
Yeah.
Playtest slower projectile speeds, slights. I said slightly, not dramatically. Tweak it per weapon and change hitbox. That's a loaded number 4, but it's hard to write it in just one sentence. And then buff light, such as more air control, with the bonuses of the spawn points. Am I missing anything in chat that was obvious?
I mean, chat's big on nuggets and survivalist right now, so.
Yeah, it's hard for me to comment on it efficiently. Like, if someone wants to come in here and chat on it, we can, but
yeah,
at the same
I
time,
actually don't even know exactly what survivalist does. Can we just explain it?
It just makes those nuggets, like even a heavy will full health heal, right?
Right.
And is it immediate or is it over time? I think it's over time.
It's fairly slow, actually.
It used to be immediate. So yeah, so nuggets don't give you 100%. They give you a certain amount. Fire, I can't bring you in a chat. I can't bring you in the voice if you're not in the server. There we go. All right, talk about survivalist with us. Don't make me sound like an idiot.
Yeah, so survivalist just doubles the health you get from everything. So you'll get 50% health, no matter what, if you're light, medium, heavy, off of the nug without survivalist, and you'll get 100% with it.
So this is the Jaggle perk. Does Jaggle use this?
Yeah.
What does Jaggle use? Yeah.
Everybody uses it who's not like capping or chasing, pretty much. So if you're heavy and you kill a light, which is very easy, right? You could one-shot him before. You still can with some certain weapons. You'll full heal off of them. Some of the suggestions I like is instead of getting full heal off killing a light, you only get what their HP is. So if you're heavy, you'll get 1,000 health back with survivalist from killing the light.
Okay,
DeSolo without it.
DeSolo answered what I was going to ask. Is like, so let's say I picked up 2 nuggets. Does it stack? And it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wow, 200% over time too.
Yeah, that's a problem. I think is a huge problem.
Yeah,
should we just nerf nugs in general? Because in like midair, I think the nugs do what, like 30%?
It's probably even less. I think it's like 20, 25, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 20. Yeah, it's like 20%. And I mean, if it was 20% and survivalist brought it up to 40%, that would feel. I don't probably we wouldn't even pick it, but maybe.
Dude, what's gonna like? Do you remember Team Fortress 2? It used to be everyone would damage them. I keep talking about this, but everyone would damage themselves in spawn to get the Uber charged up.
Yeah, dude, we did that.
Yeah, what's going to happen at the start of the map when you get a couple of your players to kill themselves, and then you have the heavy just standing there with like 5,000 health regen, like 10,000 health regen over like 2 minutes?
It's true. Yeah, I do think nuggets, especially when they don't fall through the map anymore and that gets fixed, it just makes it worse. And maybe nuggets need to disappear faster because you don't want them just laying around forever. Maybe they're just 5-10 seconds. Because I see people such as myself, oh, there's a nugget, or you hear it, it makes that humming noise or whatever. And so like, I never felt like the nugget in front of me disappeared. So I would actually go out of my way to get that nugget, to get that health regen. And I see Jaggle do the same when he kills someone and he's half health. He's like, I need to get that nugget before I take on another fight. But if it disappears before they can get it, then maybe that helps the whole situation of nuggets.
Yeah, we have Canucks saying here nuggets can out heal light chain.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know
That's
That
rough.
seems worrisome to me.
That's rough. Training a heavy,
Probably- yeah,
it
probably
feels
could get,
like a
like, 2.
Sisyphean task, honestly.
Jesus, you wrote this in MS Paint. Why'd you do that?
I don't know. Visuals for my stream chat, bro. I'm trying to be a pro streamer.
I just wanted the answer. I think it's great. That's funny. This is a good list, and I think there's a lot of good contributions. Again, shout out to everybody who actually goes out of their way to write these things in feedback channel. I think I can only guess, and I mean, Doppelganger confirmed it. But the dev team looks at this. Like, if there's one channel they're going to look at in this Discord, there's a lot of channels. There's a lot of mess in general, for example. I can only imagine that anybody on the Prophecy team, if they need something, they go to this channel and they look at the thumbs up, I'm sure, too. So whether you're contributing directly, and shout out to you taking the time out of your days to do this. This is huge for the community in the game. But also just engaging and thumbsing up more. Like, I should listen to myself a little bit more. I don't do it enough, I guess. Commenting for this, like a thread here where it has 1,285 replies. Sure, you could have fun with it, but don't expect a dev to search through the 1,000+ messages on what you're saying here. It all comes down to what is being said at the top of this and the thumbs up and what the topic or the title is. Make sure you make a very prominent title, because that will help stick out on what this is talking about. So that's my 2 cents. I thought I saw Doppelganger chatting and typing in here, so I wanted to see it, but maybe not.
We didn't talk at all about flag physics in today's chat, which remain unchanged from the previous. So I guess our last chat, everything we said about flag physics is kind of still on the table.
Did you punt the flag in the last test? I thought you could.
You can punt it. It's just hard to hit because of the speed of the projectile.
I was getting used to it, and I enjoyed it, actually.
And
I see Rez in chat.
Hey, we got Erez in chat. What's up, Erez?
Yeah, what's up?
Let's get Erez in here.
Let's get Erez in here. That's right.
Well, I'll say, and I'll get into this. I want to show you this, Erez, as our top 5, unless you listen to all of this. The flag physics, I think, is really great on the ground. You could finally bounce a flag around pretty reasonably, like whether it's trying to tuck it into a corner, but that flag timer needs to change. It needs to return in 30 seconds, not 90. But also, like, I'm coming in and I see the enemy about to return it in the middle of the map. I can shoot the flag away from the enemy now. Now I can have some like epic flag play on the ground. But there are some bounces that when you throw it, it just launches straight up in the air, and it's really a little wonky. Sweet. Erez watched it all. I hope it's helpful, Erez, and if there's anything in particular you want more clarity on, or a topic that you think you want us to chew on, like, happy to do that. But yeah, our top 5 still remain on the nerf the heavy. There's a lot going on there. Nerf or change the sniper BXT. I think there's some substantial things we can do there. Reduce the flag timer. The projectile speeds, a lot of fun. Great. I think that was cool. A lot of people have grown accustomed to it or have enjoyed the fact that they can MA better. But let's tweak it a little bit. Maybe not 50%, maybe 20%. Let's see what that is. But the chain gun feels like a hit scan. A lot of people cried about that, and I agree. I think it's too easy to chain, and it just feels like a hit scan when it should be projectile. And that those hitboxes could be changed a bit. And then lastly, the light feels like it can't do much, or it could use a little bit more of a buff, whether it's like air control. If you want it to be the go fast but not so much utility, give it more air control. And yeah, I'm actually curious on your thoughts on spawn points, Erez.
Did you had generator spawn points in your list, right?
Yeah, it was a bonus. More/better spawn points based on generator status plus choosing spawn points. But maybe he doesn't want to comment on it. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but I'll take it if I can get it.
We'll definitely take it if we can get it.
Erez
has been here all along. I watched it all, he says. So
yeah,
shout out. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's confirming that bug.
There's a bug, yeah.
Which is kind of what we had assumed.
Cool.
And I like that they reduced the spawn time.
Yeah.
But I still think there needs to be a little more. And I'd like to see boost pads in the spawns, maybe. I think that'd be cool.
That'd be fun.
Or you need some other idea to get people back into the game, especially on defense, a little quicker. I think there's like a chain of bounce decisions that right now make light defense really hard to do. Like, you want to hide. You don't even want to fight a heavy because they're going to full heal off of you as light if you die. And then you're going to have a long respawn, and then you're going to be far away from your flag. So actually, as a chaser, I want to hide. I don't even want to, like, duel.
It's true. I know that feel.
It's a couple things. It's the spawn points, the respawn timer, it's the survivalist, giving heavies back all of their health, and it's just the balance between light and heavy. I think in other games, like T1, actually I'd say lights were better in the field than heavies were. Like they're better duelers.
Do you
Heavies
think
are better inside? They're better at clearing flags. So heavy has changed through like every single tribes in their dueling ability or their bounce. But and this one it's probably the furthest like lights versus heavies. It's just so imbalanced.
I just want to shout out Arabs in the chat. Most of your top 5 are already going in.
That's a PogChamp.
I'm pumped.
Sick.
That's now I like I'm always excited for a playtest, but now I am ready to go.
Yeah.
This is most. So what's not going in?
It's
the
Come on,
heavy
Fire.
balance, isn't
Just
it?
be happy for once.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know you like playing heavy, Erez. We know it.
When you said the boost pads, by the way, for like the spawn, like could that be another thing that's tied to the generator that you get more of a boost out of your spawn if the gens are up?
Idea, yeah.
Like
gens down, you can't boost out. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to play with what you have today.
I think the sniper coming off heavy is a good start because it's just the fact that they are on the stand that makes it so difficult and so unfun to deal with.
I wish I could pull up, like, I was so proud of myself when I was streaming Friday night, and I played heavy on flag for the first time, like maybe ever in a Tribes game, and I was just sitting on Wave Mist, I think it's called, and I was just sniping and hitting everything, and Blitz told me the next morning he was watching, and he's like, yeah, dude, you did not miss. I was like, I'm not a sniper per se. Now, in Counter-Strike I am, because that's like hit scan, right? But for this game, if we're going fast, I was never that guy, and I ended up just destroying everybody coming in. Granted, it was a pub, but it just felt too easy. And I was like, I should not be able to do this. I feel like I am an unstoppable force.
Yeah, I have a video of 2 heavies on the stand in a pub and me just flying in and dying multiple times to them. And unfortunately, I only started recording at the end of the match because I was like, okay, I need to record this. But like that was the whole match, was me flying in and 2 heavies sniping me. And me doing it again and getting sniped. And over and over and over and over.
By the way, just as a side tangent, because I just got an email with it. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not a Twitch streamer as of like 3-4 weeks ago. But I'm uploading all these like shorts of like clips that you guys clip on my Twitch channel very easily to first YouTube Shorts. But I went to TikTok yesterday and I connected that account. And the comments I always get is like, oh my God, I remember playing this game as a kid. This is a new thing coming out. Or, wow, this looks like Halo. Can I play it? And this guy is like, I never thought I would see Tribes short. It makes me inexplicably happy. Like those are the conversations I'm seeing in my comments for all my shorts. I'm like, this is great. Like I'm making a small impact and giving people visibility on a game that's coming out that they might have loved growing up. But if we can now's not the time for marketing the game because we're still playtesting it and such. But I do feel like once those marketing levers start to get pulled, whether it's through influencers and more content and such, like it's going to be awesome. And Fish, like folks like you and I who stream all the time, and Fire, I see you streaming this past week, like putting this content out there. Sure, you don't have a following, but I don't either, and I'm getting a lot of traction on it, or at least some traction on it. It's going to add up over time.
Bro, I'm getting way more views on my YouTube videos than I ever thought I would get for Tribes content. It's actually kind of sick. I'm really happy about it. And yeah, I mean, every single time Tribes gets mentioned by someone big, or there's an article on Kotaku or IGN or whatever, every single time, almost without exception, there will be a whole lot of comments that said, man, Tribes was my childhood. Man, I miss Tribes. Nothing like that experience. Like, Tribes changed my life. Like, I mean, that kind of thing. You see it every single time. I think Tribes holds a really special place in more hearts than anyone gives it credit for. And these are a lot of people who did not play Tribes back in the day, right? Or sorry, have not played Tribes in 10 years. And maybe they only played Tribes for the first 1 or 2 or 3 years, but it still holds that special place in their hearts. So I don't know. I'm really, really excited for this game. I'm really hopeful that we can recapture all of those old people who have that same sort of feeling. And it's been awesome to see the level of like views and support that we've been getting on our YouTube content. I mean, even 50 people doesn't sound like a ton in the grand scheme of things, but 50 people talking about a game that's only been in playtest for a little while and like getting super nerdy about the mechanics of the game is pretty cool. Is pretty damn cool to see. So
It'll add up over time. And Greth, you saying like your 90K views on a new channel, mostly with shorts, I believe it, dude.
That's it.
I love it.
90K.
I love it, dude.
Chazbot.
All right, cool. I think we can wrap things up here. I think we'll ramble a bit more, but thanks everyone for watching.
One thing,
Contributing.
Jaggle's asking me. He's begging me to say this. He thinks Gladiators is the most OP thing in the game. And
I haven't touched it
all the time.
I haven't touched it.
You guys haven't touched it. You probably died from it though. Right now it does a lot of damage, and you can like two-shot another heavy with it, kind of like with the old honor fuser, heavy versus heavy. So you two-shot him with a Gladiator. So he wants to see the Gladiator nerfed.
I will say whatever. I will trust Jaggle on pretty much whatever.
Exactly, Jaggle's the best duelist.
I think he's the best player in the game right now, from what I've seen.
Yeah, that's easy.
I
think he got kicked out of the casual custom lobbies, like in the like he said he was getting kicked out of these lobbies that happen in the official Tribes 3 server because he's just too good. I get it, dude. I hate playing against him too, but I have to.
So we gotta believe him. Nerf the Gladiator.
There's a new role in Tribes, and it's called Jaggle Duty. That's what happens. If you're going against them, who's on Jaggle Duty?
It's a thing.
By the way, speaking of influencers, I see Tay Zonde is chatting in the general chat, and I think that's actually literally.
Oh, cool.
I think that's him. I don't think that's
stream. He used to stream.
Dude, he was that's 100% him because he's the guy that he loved Overwatch League, and he was a huge supporter of the LA Valiant when they were in LA. And he engaged with every single match of theirs. He's a huge esport guy. He's a huge FPS shooter guy. He does great content.
He loved Descend, yeah.
He sings well too. Dude, Tay Zonde is a good one to have. We should add him to content creator side of things. Sure. If Doppelganger, if you're watching, like definitely reach out to this guy. He is a very good asset to our community if we can get him. And if we can get him to cast, yeah. So I told you guys I want to put together some kind of tournaments in the future, and with us having custom games, well, maybe something's in the works that we're trying to put together. Can't say much more than that, but if we can get him to cast, that would be sick.
Oh wait, he thinks the chain gun needs 25% more damage. I don't know. I take it all back.
Well, we don't need him for his feedback. We need him for his reach. Okay, let's be clear. No, just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe he's talking about the light chain gun.
He's probably talking about the light chain.
Maybe he wants to be able to chain a heavy.
It could use a little more damage.
It's funny. Fire, do I have permission to outro now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. No, just kidding. I'm just giving you shit.
I want before we outro. I think Eras should leak when the next playtest is gonna be. I don't know.
I can't mute you.
I think he's out.
Well, I guess I can't, but it's too late. He did say bye.
He said bye. Oh no.
He said thank you at least for the stream. So because we were trying to outro.
It's Thursday.
It's got to be Thursday. Like the only time we didn't get a playtest on a Thursday is because it was holiday break.
My money's on Thursday. Okay. Or next Thursday. One or the other.
Cool. Well, I mean, I want to keep going because I have a lot of there's so much engagement in chat. Like this is like the best kind of stream. So expect us to keep doing this. And if you're in this chat and you want to be a part of the conversation next time, or you have feedback on how it be done differently or better, DMs are open. But I really appreciate folks just tuning in. The freaking subs are very uncalled for. Like I don't need this, but I appreciate it. I'll see how I can give back.
He's got the esports money, man. He doesn't need it.
Yeah,
Adam.
Much money in working in esports.
No,
so much.
Adam's been complaining about how he's had to eat ramen for the past 3 months.
Ramen's good shit, man. I don't mind.
Subscriptions.
But it's fun to have this kind of conversation. You guys here, Fish, being able to put this together with you in the last minute and having the 3 S's before we start. Jim joining us and Fire jumping in, and I don't know. These are a lot of fun. So we'll do more of these kind of things. I like it more casual and laid back than it is very formal and having a overlay and such. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to do things like tribal banter. Would love to get devs involved and have them talking more as the game gets closer to release and everything in between. Like I want to get freaking Anarchy AO on my stream and just have things go full unhinged.
Yeah,
it's-
let's get on
You
Hinge.
gotta be careful with that. But
I gotta be careful. I understand the risk, but I don't want to come off as a guy that's like, I'm just trying to do things only for Prophecy. I don't work for Prophecy, but I want to be very close and engaged with them, but also with the community and things that I enjoy. I like memeing around, having fun and laid back. So I'm going to do that on my stream when I can, but I'll be mindful. I'll be mindful of the content I put out because I want it to be for everybody, not, mature.
By the way, Tay Zondi is now talking about how O sniping was banned in Tribes 1. He's talking about
Amazing.
He's talking about the 5150 server in T1. I didn't know Tay Zondi played T1. That is so cool.
I know he played TA, but wow. Yeah, back.
Dude, look at this. That's so cool.
This is cool.
Let's get all giddy on this. Any last words, Fish?
No, I mean, if you don't just turn this off at some point, we're just going to keep going. So we should probably wrap it up. But I will say, can't wait for the game to come back. Hopefully next weekend. I mean, I have no reason to believe it won't be back next weekend because it's been back every weekend for a while. Now that we have private servers or custom lobbies, that's the word, I think we should do some cool shit.
Yes, sir.
So I'm really excited for what may or may not be in the works.
I can't wait to get whitelisting going too, Fish. That's going to be fun.
A what now?
Whitelisting, remember from TA?
Oh, wow. That's something I forgot about. Well, Jim, segue over to you for last thoughts. And, will we ever see NA Tribes come back? You as the head admin of that?
I mean, I keep debating registering it before someone grabs it, but I don't. It's kind of expensive. Like, I'm half your stream generally, and you won't share any of the subscription money with me, so I'm not sure I can afford it.
No, absolutely.
But there is this other website I really like, www.omfgdogs.com. Check it out. It's really cool, and nerf heavy.
Sweet. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop streaming. I hate that I'm stop streaming with all you guys, but it makes sense. We're gonna do it. We'll see you in the next playtest. We'll see you in the next feedback loop that we do after the playtest, and anything that happens in between. So, thanks,
all right,
everybody.
Everyone, stay tuned for the next for hours 2 to 5. We're gonna bring DeSolo on and talk about capping for the next 3 hours. Okay, just kidding. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.